'Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now.
Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Dutchess, and this is Dutchess Discussions, where we talk about true crime and missing cases. But today, we have a special exclusive live stream with a very good friend of mine, Meronda, and her husband, TJ. If you guys would please welcome them to the panel in the chat, I would be really grateful. Meronda and TJ reached out to me and asked me if I would be willing to let them share their story on my live stream. And this story is, it's very heartbreaking. And they sent me several documents that I read through. And it just, it really hurt me to know that there's not just corruption in these missing cases. There is corruption in so many other parts of our state system. And TJ and Meronda have a very, very important true story that they want to share with everyone because awareness is everything. And Meronda, TJ, thank you so much for reaching out.
Thank you.
Thank you. It means the world to us, especially after being turned away from pretty much every media outlet in South Carolina.
It's pretty sad you got to come to YouTube to get a story out there, I think, especially when you reached out to mandated reporters and people you think that are doing stories on abuse or corruption, ain't putting it out there. Don't give you time or day, even with all those documents I sent you. The main thing is the recordings. And if I'm even sure I have all my time frames up there, but in the time frames, if you see an exclamation mark, it's there for a reason. And I guess I'll let you start it off, babe.
Okay, well, we moved to Hartsville at the end of 2020. Me and TJ have been together for almost 10 years, and he is the only father my special needs son knows, and his name is Drayson. He's 14, and he has Smith-Magenis syndrome, which is a very rare syndrome. A lot of doctors don't even know about it. I have to explain it to them usually if he has an issue and he has to go to a doctor. But it basically affects chromosome 17 specifically, and it comes with like a upside down sleep pattern. Basically, normal kids with his syndrome want to be up bouncing off the walls at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he takes melatonin to help him sleep, which in turn can cause behavioral issues and stuff like that. If, he doesn't get good sleep, of course, everybody's grumpy. But
What can you tell us about Smith-Magenis syndrome? What exactly does that consist of? I know that you sent me a text and told me that the 17th of November is Smith-Magenis syndrome Awareness Day.
yes, and that's because they picked that day because it's the 11.17p chromosome, or 17.11, I think, something along those lines. But the 17 is due to the chromosome.
Okay.
And as far as Smith-Magenis syndrome goes, there really isn't a lot known about it.
What you do know about it, you can't graph or chart.
Right. It's very spectrum style, like autism. Usually children who have Smith-Magenis syndrome are usually assumed to have ADHD or autism because that's the strong, because they have, stimming behaviors where they'll, bite their fingers, or if they get overstimulated, they'll do certain things. One thing that's big difference is with Smith-Magenis syndrome, they are very socially motivated. They love social interaction. They need it to thrive and be themselves. In a nurturing environment is very much like my other 14-year-old and my other kids, and gets along. But when it comes to educationally and behaviorally, it's somewhat of an eggshell situation. But once you know about him and you know about the syndrome, anybody
Triggers,
who cares, a good aid, which he's had a couple days, and they're in routine, they get him, but it takes caring and understanding. And unfortunately, since we've been dealing with Darlington County school districts, it just seems to be.
Drayson used to love school.
Yeah,
he used to love school. He used to come home happy, tell us about what he did as best he could, and see little notes about how he was and whatnot. We bought some property. I tried to buy some property out in Ainer, since everyone's wanting to sell their farm and stuff, but it was way too costly. So we purchased some property in Hartsville and Darlington County, and she reached out to the schools before we even moved here. And so she was in contact with the teacher, the deputy's wife, is what I'm going to call her. Reached out to the deputy's wife. The deputy's wife even came to our house and sat with Dre. She also warned him. You warned her.
Yes, I did.
That what'd you warn her?
I looked her dead in her eyes in my living room, and I said, I do not play when it comes to my child. I gave up my career. I went to school for neuromuscular massage therapy. I loved it. I excelled at it. I did great at it. My job, everybody loved me, but I gave it all up when I found out my son had Smith-Magenis syndrome, because I am aware of the vulnerable people out there, and my child having special needs, he's in that category. So ever since then, I vowed to him and made him a promise that these types of things would not happen to him, and I would keep him protected and always be there for him 24/7, whatever he needs to make his
If there's
life
ever an
obstacles.
issue, don't don't hesitate to call me.
Yeah, so
if it ever comes too much or something, God forbid, which Drayson was fine at school. Call us, we'll come get him. Because there was a big transitional change.
in elementary.
Right, you lost your dad.
Oh, well,
shortly
yeah,
before we came here.
Yeah, there was a lot of changing parts when we moved here. So we suspect things were pretty much started with him as far as abuse and bullying and everything. As soon as he started in the classroom, they didn't have a camera in the classroom, and the teacher and aides took full advantage of that, apparently.
This had never been a problem before you
No,
no,
into this school system.
Yeah, and the thing is like his previous school, his teacher and aide there, they still to this day call and check on him. They're aware of the situation, and it breaks their heart. They're like, if I could, I'd move there and teach him myself. Seems like all the people that care and want to be there for him are somehow forced to stay at arm's length because of the district, the department, somehow, some way, just he's not getting where he needs to be, and what he needs is falling on deaf ears, even after begging, pleading, crying, begging, suing, the whole shebang. We're at square one all over again. And as of right now, my son has still not been able to go to any adequate school.
Okay, so walk me through 3 years ago when Drayson was going and attending his special ed classes. You sent me some information about the problems that he was having with one of his special ed instructors, and you explained to me that he has a teacher and that he has, I guess there's a couple of aides that are in the classroom.
Yes,
and you started seeing these reoccurring things that were happening. Walk me through what that looks like. What kind of things were happening in the classroom that you noticed, and what was the final straw where you realized that you had to take action?
Well, first, it wasn't the classroom, because we didn't know what was going on in the classroom.
Okay.
I was daily back and forth with the teacher, the guidance counselor, sent him a bunch of information on Smith-Magenis and pamphlets, little cards, bracelets, everything, to make sure they were aware of what we were dealing with. Because Drayson, his character, even though he has Smith-Magenis syndrome, his character on a regular basis is very sweet, loving, happy, wants to engage with everybody, wants to help, overly, little clumsy, little mischievous, but all in all, a very loving, happy child. And school was his independence from home and from us. And, he would get up in the morning, he's ready to get on the bus. And when he get home, he was, happy to be off the bus. But it turned into, at first it started out, little things, his behavior here, there, he hit something, tore something up, to the point where he was not himself at all. He was coming home ready to fight. There were specific curse words and stuff that are not used in my house whatsoever that blatantly came flying out of his mouth. And we didn't know where it was coming from. So we're thinking, okay, he's hitting puberty. We just lost my dad, all these different things. And things just weren't adding up. His character, I don't know, he just felt sad and angry and anxious and scared when he was coming home from school. And, little indicators from school.
It's like he was mad that we were sending him to that school. He was ready to fight when he got off that bus. And it was out of the norm. There was times where he came home, the boy couldn't even
he had injuries
walk around,
that no one could tell
his
us.
back was broke.
Yeah, like he fell or something. But he didn't have a bruise, but he was walking around like he fell on his hip and he couldn't walk on his leg. There was a couple, and he's clumsy.
Around Christmas time, they sent you a text message or something. The teacher said that he hit his head real hard or something. Well, how did that happen? Oh, he was trying to put the star on the Christmas tree. He's helped me do that every year since I've known him. He's never had a head injury.
He's never fallen.
Things weren't adding up to where I started thinking, suspecting something's up. Something's going on at the school. And I purchased an audio recorder device from Amazon, and it looks like a little keychain. It's very discreet.
Mm-hmm.
We had that thing for probably a couple months.
Yeah, we felt bad that we
were even questioning.
Right, because I had a daily contact with the teacher. She's married to a police officer. She's been a special needs teacher over 20 years. She was raised in a military household. Okay, she's got it. Firm, but, caring. That's not what we were dealing with.
So what made us finally place in his book bag, he came home with cuts on his hand and his shorts all cut up.
Yeah, it looked like Freddy Krueger got a hold of his shorts.
The story was he apparently got a hold of a pair of scissors.
In a special needs
how does that happen in a special ed classroom?
Exactly. So how do you, as a mom, justify that in your mind? Like, okay, there's a teacher, 3 aides, and 9 students, and not all of the students were mobile. So it's like,
well, I'll tell you how it happened.
Yeah,
you can hear about it. They tell themselves in the recording. One of the aides gave him the pair of scissors to do that to himself because they felt his clothes didn't fit him. And so they allowed him to hurt himself and cut up his clothes and stuff like that. Calling him baby gap or whatnot.
Letting him
so that's how it happened.
Himself and sit in it for hours in the hallway.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, let him eat stuff off the floor and laugh at him and say, ha ha.
Now, this is during COVID, 2020, 2021 school year. I started listening to the recordings in May. And after that first day, I think it was that morning I was listening to him when we pulled him out. So I can't remember the exact date, but it was the last recording that day, May, whatever, 20 something.
Because she sent me a text message.
And that's when I realized the whole scissor thing they told on themselves, and started hearing that during COVID, they were making him eat stuff off the floor, saying that he hopes to get a disease so he doesn't have to come back to the school. They also licked their food, and gave it to Dre. While every other special needs student is saying, no, Dre, don't do it. Don't do it, Dre. And he ate it, and they thought it was the funniest thing in the world, swapping their spit and making him eat it.
This is horrible.
Drayson has a very high pain tolerance. When he broke his leg years back, the boy tried to walk, didn't cry, and all that stuff. Okay, he has a very high pain tolerance. So to even hear him in excruciating pain, you're hurting him. You're really hurting him.
It's not normal for my child to say, ouch, or you're hurting me, or anything along those lines.
You can hear it in his voice. I don't want to say it in front of her. She's only listened to a few seconds. I've been the only one who's listened to all of 6th grade. I still have to listen to 7th grade, what we did record. And And from that, I can tell that the teacher paid, from a 6th grade year, paid him a visit at school, which the superintendent says was impossible. But the video I requested is, not there. You're just going to take our word for it. Well, I'm not going to take your word for it. Your words, excuse my language, shit. And it's been proven so.
Right.
You may have the news and the public, buying your bull crap, but Mr. Dr. Newman is a piece of shit.
He
Sled
Everybody
handled
got a copy of
the
everything.
I reached out in May in person to the guidance counselor in the office. This was recorded. Letting the principal, letting them know. I reached out to multiple emails. Every email I could find online that had a email attached to Darlington County School District, I reached out to. And for months, I was ignored. So what? June, July, August, 3 months, I was ignored. Mandated reporters ignored my pleas and didn't give a crap until we had a lawyer up. As soon as we had a lawyer up, did they want to listen to the audio? This is when school, it was like a couple days before school was going to start again.
Yeah, it was the Friday, Monday. School started. They sat down with us that Friday.
They sat down and listened to a few more seconds than she listened to, and they said they heard enough.
They were crying, apologizing.
Give us a chance.
Please let us fix this.
Let us make this right. We promise you this. We promise you that. I'm going to continue.
I don't even know what to say right now, because I'm like, this should have never happened. Your apology is moot.
I reached out to the sheriff in May. I reached out to multiple mandated reporters because the teachers, sorry to cut you off, Dutchess.
Oh, you're fine.
I apologize for interrupting you. Because the teachers, it was teacher and the aides that abused him. The teacher's husband is a Darlington County deputy for 20 plus years.
And a Hartsville local, born and raised.
So Darlington County Sheriff's Office wasn't going to handle the investigation because the potential, conflict of interest there or biasness there. Understandable. Hartsville Police Department didn't handle it since it happened in Hartsville City at Hartsville Middle School. They didn't handle it because they know the family, the teacher and the deputy. They know them. So they didn't handle it. So SLED, our leading law enforcement agency, our state's FBI, is going to handle the investigation. I'm thinking, okay, great, good. No. Apparently, it was 2 years after the fact, this 2-year plus investigation, Kyle Radford with SLED kind of slipped up and informed the mom that there might not be charges. And she was like, what do you mean there's not going to be charges? Have you not listened to the audio?
Clearly.
No, ma'am. That's been withheld from the investigation by general counsel. Now, who's general counsel of SLED? Adam Whitsitt. So Adam Whitsitt withheld the legally obtained audio evidence from his investigation. So he wrapped up his quotation marks investigation, put it on the solicitor Will Rogers' desk with not even listening to the audio evidence. So I was up in arms and I was reaching out to the solicitor like, this is wrong. This is not an investigation. It proves wrongdoing and it's going to hold those people accountable for what they did to my son. Can you please have that go back to SLED and have them do their job? So apparently it went back to SLED with, I thought, that purpose, but it was just a reevaluation, and they still haven't listened to the audio evidence. They called her, a month ago?
A couple days ago.
A few days ago, probably a week ago, and told her that
they are not prosecuting anyone. And going back, because I know we're hopping all over the place. This has just been a lot.
I know.
When we finally got the school district and the police to sit down and listen to the audio recorders, and, they, did all this, we're going to do everything we can, he's priority. Anything he needs, you let me know. We'll make sure it's taken care of. And this is from the superintendent. Well, I didn't realize it right off the rip, but they put him right back in the same classroom that he was abused in 6th grade. And I don't know about anybody who's ever dealt with any kind of trauma before, but would that not be an automatic trigger for your
Why?
stress and trauma and anxiety?
Why
But
would they do that? Meronda.
because their plan all along was to make my child the problem and us the problem. And
they speak of that in what I've listened to in the 7th grade audio. They talk about what's going to be the icing on the cake for them.
And the new teacher also at 7th grade, beginning of 7th grade, also bullied and abused my child.
Now, see, you
Everything
did.
except for sexual abuse and naked pictures of my child were taken and sent to other people.
Well, okay, yes, I remember
Instead said
you
that was unfounded.
telling me that about the pictures of your child without clothes, and I
I
literally
didn't know that.
I had to take a breath because I was getting really upset because I'm thinking, you mean to tell me that the law enforcement officers are not taking this seriously? And and by the way, TJ, you guys sent me a lot of information and I do have that. Unfortunately, though, I was not ever able to listen to the audio calls because I wasn't able to open them with the I guess on my laptop, I have a Windows. When I went to open to listen, it says, that I can't play it on my device. So I never got to hear those recordings. So I just want
I'm
to
in the
let you
process.
know if there's anything that you want me to share that I have. That's not, a voice recording. I'll be happy to share it or read it. But if you have something that is a video or a recording that you want to share here, I will not silence you, but you will need to share it because I won't be able to do that. But I just want to let you know that if it's
I
something that
appreciate
you
you.
want people to hear, that I'm supporting you 100%, Meronda and TJ, because this makes me really angry, y'all. And I can tell that there's a lot of angry people in this chat, and I wish we had more people watching this live stream
I've
right now.
never used Audacity, but I'm trying to
Hey, Matt.
I'm trying to make an MP3 because I don't believe it's an MP3 format.
Right, that's what I have to. It has to be MP3 or a WAV format for me to play it.
I think it's like AMR or something. I don't even remember what it is. But
Yeah, that's what it came across as, and I was like, I don't even know what this is. And I did try to play it on 2 different devices, and I wasn't able to play it. And then my husband looked at me and he said, Dutch, he said, I don't know if you really want to hear this. And he said, because
I can't listen to it.
he was like, just take a breath. And he was like, and just know that we're going to have to pray about this. He said, because I am so disgusted right now. And I
I'll
said,
say some things
and
that I
we've
wrote
prayed for
down.
y'all every night because,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel helpless because I don't know what to do. Like when you reach out to law enforcement and they just shut you down. I mean, this is so wrong. It's like, where do you turn to? The first thing I thought of was I talked to another friend of mine who is a special ed teacher, and and a former teacher that worked in Horry County schools, and both of them told me you need to reach out to the ACLU. Because apparently they've had situations. This is not just a one-off situation, guys,
Yeah,
in the
and that's
chat. And
what
Miranda probably realizes that, but if you live here in South Carolina and you have a special needs child, like your advocates are so important because not everybody is going to advocate for you. I promise you that.
No, they won't. And there are advocates out there who say they'll, have your child's best interest at heart and not right along with lawyers. And, going back to that, so the school district finally listens to it. The police listen to it. They supposedly go to the school and immediately walk her off campus, blah, blah, blah. An investigation starts. In the meantime, they are scrambling to get another teacher and aide, and the superintendent said, I have the perfect aide for him. Out of his 23 schools, he picked this particular aide to be with Drayson, and he was a absolute blessing. And I think the story probably would have tapered off there if he would have stayed with my son. But for some unknown, still explained to me or him, because we keep in contact as well. He was taken from my son 72 days after being put with him. And that was not ever supposed to happen. And I was informed literally the day before Christmas break started that when we come back from break, he's going to have a different aide. I immediately started crying because not only did he just go through all this trauma and everything else, but he went back to school. There was 2 teacher switches because the first one we were still audio recording and immediately realized that was not going to work because she immediately came in with a bullying mentality. So she was removed and somebody else was put in place, but he had his aide and he did so great. We had an IEP meeting and everybody, his speech therapist, his physical therapist, his occupational therapist, his regular teacher, everybody was talking so good about how good he was. And we were all
He was
surprised.
getting Drayson to heal.
Yeah, he was my son's comfort blanket.
And what happened to this advocate?
I was
That
told
doesn't fit their they want Drayson to be the problem.
Yeah.
So
I guess that
Drayson-
wasn't working out in their favor. So they said he was needed elsewhere, which
ISS room.
yeah, he's an ISS teacher at another school district. They completely removed him away from my son out of the school because he was immediately having horrible meltdowns with the new aide. And even after sending him to a conference on the syndrome and everything else, the new aide just did not have any respect for my child and made things worse. So for 9 months, we tried with that new aide and begged and begged and begged, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And he went from a regular full day of school to down to 2 hours a day. And it was him getting on the bus, them fighting him to get off of the bus. And then for 2 hours, him having a meltdown from being traumatized and not feeling safe, and then being put back on the bus, or I'd already have to go pick him up because it was just too much.
This is heartbreaking. I mean, being bullied by your own teachers and then having law enforcement just brush it off like,
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, he's starting middle school. I'm thinking of other kids, bullying him. I'm not thinking the teacher and the aides are going to be the ones that are, the other kids are the ones trying to keep my son safe. And, my son was the main target, but the other children in the classroom were also verbally and physically abused.
this just breaks my heart.
And-
It makes me so angry. Look, Kayla says her daughter has Noonan syndrome and it worries her for when she starts school. And she's praying for your family, Kayla. We love you. And listen, I'm gonna have your back. I'm going to have your back. It is so unfair. It's already difficult in this world for children. It is especially difficult for children who have special needs. And They don't understand all of these different things, and they are treated like they are outcast, like they don't belong, like their feelings don't matter because they're different.
Right. And my son doesn't
And
have that autism kind of like barrier of, oh, I don't care what other people think or how other people. He's very much the opposite when it comes to that. Like he can tell if somebody, the woman who wrote the book on Smith-Magenis syndrome, actually after everything started, she was part of the IEP team. And, she even said, these kids are built with internal radars. They can call you out real quick. If you're having a bad day and you try to put on a fake smile, he's going to know you've had a bad day. And that's the emotion that he's going to draw from. So like when everything was going on, I'm like, okay, is somebody having a bad day around him? And he's picking up, because, he was very good at picking up other people's bad habits at school. And all these habits that he was picking up were adult behavioral habits, and we couldn't understand what was going on. And I'm sitting here reaching out to the teacher, and once we contacted the school and everything, they're like, well, you never contacted us. Well, we didn't think, we can't just come at you and be like, oh, we suspect. So once we knew there was actually something going on, it was jaw dropping. I couldn't listen to more than about 10 seconds. I've never been to jail in my life, but
And she still hasn't. Like, she did not know about.
A lot of things were kept from us.
I listened to the recordings. I was making timestamps and stuff like that, points of interest, putting exclamation marks to clear wrongdoing. So I was listening to it. She only listened to a few seconds. What I listened to, I could hear them say they were taking pictures of him, and like I think he was on the toilet, and they were taking pictures of him and ridiculing him and sending it to other people.
Wait. Start over. Okay, let me just ask. I got to clarify something. Who is taking these pictures of him on the toilet?
The teacher and aides.
And why would they be doing this?
To ridicule him and humiliate him. And apparently they were also sent to the special needs high school teacher and was told, haha, you need to watch out for this one.
I'm feeling like that I'm going to need to know who these people are. You don't have to say their name here, but feel like I'm going to need to we're going to need to email some people. I feel like you guys are going to need to share the emails of all the people that I need to blow up, because I feel like that I'm going to need to blow up some people because these people have no business working at this school system. They need to be fired immediately, and they should never be allowed to be around children in a school environment, because taking pictures of a kid, period, in any type of situation.
Right.
Oh, no, absolutely
and
not.
Meronda had no idea of this. Okay.
I want
when
the names,
she first
and
became
you can
aware
send them to me. And I think that I mean, if we have to, we'll start a petition. We'll start a petition, because I think that they should be removed from their jobs.
Yeah. And what's very, very scary is not only did they have the teacher on paid leave for 2 years until we went to mediation, which is where I found out some information that was held from me from my son's lawyer, who is an absolute POS.
We'll get into that. But when she was confronted about, because I was still going through the recordings, and when I discovered the whole licking the food and making him eat it, I immediately let the superintendent know. And apparently they confronted her about it, and she quit. So just like a cop that quits when confronted with wrongdoing or whatnot, if they quit, they can go work for some other agency.
Especially not
because they weren't fired. It's not on their record.
And no jail time. They're not being prosecuted.
So
she can go be a teacher again.
My most recent
That's what scares me the most.
was with SLED and the solicitor. I reached out to the solicitor last October 25th, and I reached out to SLED last October 26th. And you mind if I share those?
You can share anything that you want to share, TJ.
I want to share the recordings, but I think it'd be a good idea not to have Rhonda around.
Yeah, I can't.
So I'm working on making a snippet in Audacity where I'm cutting and pasting and then making that,
Okay.
like this is points of interest.
Yeah,
from
Matt
that
knew
day
exactly
versus
what it
having to
was.
find
Thank
it.
you, Matt, for coming in and saying the Audacity, whatever it was, export thing, because like I don't know all of this. I don't know all
I'm
of
with
Me
this.
you on
neither.
that, Dutchess. This is fly by your seat situation.
Matt's gonna need to come help me with all of these things.
Please do.
Matt, I need your help. Yeah, Kayla, we're gonna
Also,
need that bail money, Kayla. That's exactly right, because we've talked about this before. Kayla's always
God
got
is
bail money.
strong. God is strong because I grew up in the hard knock ghetto part of South Carolina, and we're all about some street justice, and 10, 15 years ago it would have been a whole nother story. I would have not been able to keep my cool. And
Meronda, this is why
Who's going to take care of Drayson if we're locked up?
Right. And that's why I'm gotta be strong and be here for my baby. But this has really taken an emotional toll on all of us. And Drayson can't just go see a therapist and talk through his trauma and things like. There's not a specialist on this entire planet for this situation.
He's had an evaluation done. What do you call it? A forensic
behavioral analysis.
I believe it's what it's called.
Something along those lines.
They don't care.
She did a very good job in detailing more than I could ever as a professional on how this is affecting him without him being able to verbalize it. But yeah,
we do need Bullhorn Betty on this one, because this is when Bullhorn Betty would actually, she might come in handy, because I feel like that. I mean, she's already been here in South Carolina for the Murdoch thing. This is the kind of thing that we need.
That's a sore subject. What to say? The lawyer involved
yes,
is a very, very, very good friend of that murderer.
We didn't know how close until April. We had mediation in April. That's when she was blindsided with the whole taking pictures.
And, there were multiple HR reports against this teacher before my son ever stepped in the school. Now tell me why she wasn't in jail and why they aren't all in jail.
But you couldn't prove negligence. That's 100% negligence. You knew about her prior behaviors, yet retained her employment to be able to do this to Drayson and other students.
And this is other staff that reported this teacher. And
but I wrote,
nothing was done.
There's a lot to talk about, especially going into the Meronda murder. Freaking law firm.
I mean, we need an attorney to go after the attorney and the law enforcement and the school system. Like who's going to take that on? I mean,
no one that we've been able to find.
No one wants to touch what some other lawyers touch. So I found a good way to go about it, and I'll get into that. But this is what I wrote Will Rogers on the 25th.
I got a smart man.
Now, I think did you send me that email? Because I think that I have. I have one about. Is this from the Parker Law Group?
Yeah, they tried to hide, didn't they?
The one that you sent me, I think, is the one that says it was to you, Meronda. And it says, I am not representing you in your continued efforts to place Drayson. I represented him in an abuse case, which is settled. I'll be glad to give you advice, but you have to understand that the Darlington County School District will say they have complied with the mediation agreement. What was your written response to the below? Talk to me about this email.
Do you have my reply there?
I believe I do. Hang on, let me go over here. Let me
That's a
share my
lawyer
screen. Can I
grabbing
share
his
my
money and
screen?
jumping ship.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we're open to, like I said, any help, any eyes. We need this to be out there because they're going beyond.
This is that first part of the email that I just ran. That was from Danny Henderson. I guess, well, no, this must have been, let's see, this was after. So I think if I go
Yeah, I got it
back,
right here. I'll just, because the
your
subject says
response,
shame.
I think this is your response right here,
That's
right?
it. That's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why don't you want to read from yours and I'll just keep this on the screen. I'd rather you read it.
Mr. Henderson, your recent communication only reinforces my recent concerns regarding your prior representation, quotation marks, of Drayson. While you claim to have acted on his behalf, the reality remains that numerous pivotal moments and crucial pieces of evidence were glaringly mishandled or outrightly neglected. Your choice to withhold critical evidence during mediation blindsided Meronda, leaving her vulnerable and pressured into signing the agreement under duress. Your assurance, now strikingly questionable, only further exacerbated her feeling of entrapment. Furthermore, your neglect to even acknowledge the seventh grade audio evidence, which attests to ongoing abuse, is bewildering. The gravity of this evidence could have fundamentally altered the mediation's trajectory and outcome. I was equally disturbed to learn that you had amended the complaint without informing Miranda only a month before the mediation. Your silence and inaction, especially when confronted with baseless, quotation marks, futile claims by the defense, only add to my growing list of concerns about your commitment and integrity. Our family trusted you to not only protect Drayson's rights, but also to be sensitive to the cascading emotional and psychological impact on us. The unfortunate truth is, you did Drayson, and by extension, our family, a profound disservice. This is not just an opinion, it's a sentiment built on tangible evidence and undeniable events. I challenge the Darlington County School District's claim of having adhered to the mediation agreement. Their prior and subsequent actions contradict any notion of diligence or genuine concern for Drayson's well-being. Your reluctance to release Drayson's court-approved settlement funds signed under duress is deeply alarming. Most could argue the evasive tactics parallel Mr. Murdahl's reported behavior when confronted about missing fees, raising serious concerns. There are matters at stake that you are obstructing without basis. Further stonewalling, feigned confusion, or inappropriate questioning is unacceptable. Murdahl faced consequences for his actions, but somehow those who abused my son are not punished. It is concerning to me that you reportedly spent extensive time assisting Mr. Murdahl when serious allegations were raised against him, yet delay assisting my vulnerable son. Do not insult me by pretending not to comprehend the gravity and urgency of the matters. The time has expired for any excuse or delay. Handle this ethically and lawfully right now, just as you should have done proactively long ago without my insistence. Moreover, I must address the purported contract you presented, which you claim we signed with your new firm. It's evident, even upon cursory inspection, that the document has been tampered with or forged. To be clear, we never signed any such contract with your new firm. We were not present on the alleged date of signing, a fact that I can corroborate with evidence. Your call asking us if we possessed the original, followed by a hasty assurance that you had found it, further raises my suspicions. I want to make it abundantly clear that this document, which lacks authenticity, will undergo a thorough forensic analysis to ascertain its validity. Any proven misconduct associated with this document's creation or presentation will be pursued to the fullest extent of the law. Your offer of advice under the current circumstances lacks credibility. My sole priority remains Drayson's rights, welfare, my family, and the pursuit of justice. Kind regards, Thomas Blackwood Jr., representing the concerns and interests of justice. And what I sent the solicitor very recently, where is it at? 25th, child abuse evidence.
I need to contact Chase and Truth. Nico, you think?
I love her.
I mean, she's just in North Carolina, and I can't imagine what she would say about this. And Duty Ron would be a good person too. I mean, because he's former law enforcement. I can't imagine what he would say about this. You guys send this video to these creators, like copy this link and email it to them and say, hey, I think you might want to listen to this case because these parents need help. You know, like I said, I had a couple of teachers that I told about this, and the first thing they said was, have they reached out to the NAACP or the ACLU, because
No.
really that's going to be the only way they are going to get the help they need. And I'm like, but are they even going to get help there? Hey, Libby, this
Well,
is somebody that needs to hear this story, because I think that she understands what you guys are fighting against.
Yeah, and it's overwhelming, and it's blatantly obvious that Drayson's education and priority, which is and has been the main focus since all this happened. Like, I wasn't even focused on this woman needs to go to jail or anything like that. It was, how do we get Drayson back to where he needs to be so he's right? You know, everything else is
And this
background.
has been 3 years.
This is
Going on.
Yeah, this is
3 school years.
Happened in 6th grade. He's supposed to be in 9th grade.
Okay.
And
So how did you take Drayson out of school?
We so it just continues. Okay, so
Darlington County.
Yeah, 7th grade, nightmare. You know, we tried, and I tried to make my voice loud, and, you know, just ask, like, please just use your moral compass. And, you know, you say you care, show it. Like this, I wouldn't be bothering you if he was okay. He's not okay. Like, they didn't even want to acknowledge the fact that he was traumatized. Not even the fact that he was traumatized in their school, the class that they keep putting him into, but the fact that he was traumatized at all, period. They were just treating him like he was a normal child and he had behavioral problems. And so 8th grade started 2 hours a day. And he was suspended for bad behavior. Well, when you poke a beehive, you usually rile up bees.
It was told to us by who they took away
a previous
that
aide.
they were aggravating him.
Purposely causing Drayson to have these meltdowns. And that's why cameras, even after he was traumatized, did not get placed and are still not placed in that classroom.
Which, if they had listened to me about more cameras and stuff, it probably wouldn't have took 20 days to catch a school shooter. Which I would love someone to do some research. Is that the longest it's taken to catch a school shooter? 20
Libby
days?
says that she thinks she can help you. That was one of the counties. She was a parent educator. Libby, I know you were a little bit late. I texted you the live. I don't know if you heard earlier in the conversation. They had the teacher, they brought abuse charges. They were, it wasn't the kids that were actually doing things to Dre. It was the teachers and the aides. And the aides were actually taking pictures of Dre on the toilet. And there were pictures of him naked. And these people are still employed in Darlington County School District.
But I don't think the teacher is anymore because they let her quit. But she can go be a teacher anywhere she wants to be. And they let
these aides that were doing this, are they still employed?
They quit.
I mean,
when they were first confronted, they quit.
They were allowed to quit.
So you mean they're allowed to go be
abusive and this woman
to
has
other kids?
This teacher who abused my child has a daughter my son's age. So if she's so nonchalantly okay with abusing other people's children, apparently there's a long history. I don't even know how long of the HR reports on her from other staff members at the school. But if she can do that to other people's children, it makes me wonder what she's doing to her own child.
Yeah. So Libby, she has this history. And then they continue to keep her on as an educator. And they're trying to say that it's Dre's fault, like he deserved all of this stuff to happen to him. And they went to SLED, and SLED is basically like, well, we're not going to use these recordings, or we're just going to throw that out. We're not going to use that as evidence. And basically just swiping things under the rug. Libby said, isn't that something? I was fired for standing up for rights of students, but abusers can just quit.
Yeah, it's bad whenever it seems like there has been way more protection and effort to protect the criminals and all the effort into harassing the victim.
Right. And I promise you, Libby stands up for her students. We've had this conversation, Libby, how many times? Like, this has happened to her a couple of times where, because I mean, she will go head to head with these people because she is going to defend the student, and she is going to defend their parents, and she stands up for what she thinks is right. But see, they don't like that.
No,
They
they
don't
don't.
like that. And she pushes back because, I mean, right is right and wrong
I
is
was
wrong.
I was immediately referred to as the mom that sues after 3 months of yelling, screaming, saying, "Get this woman away from these kids."
Listen, I would be in a
I'm the mom
jumpsuit
that sues.
because I'm gonna
They
tell you what,
still
if that had been my kid, I don't know if I could have held myself back. Me and that woman, it would have been on the front
God is
page of the
strong.
newspaper, okay? Because
God is
I'm gonna tell you
strong
what,
because
that is wrong.
I just
How
pray.
can they just allow these people to go out and possibly teach at other places? Are parents not worried that these people are gonna take pictures naked of their kids on the toilet, or make
put
fun of
hands on
them
them.
or lick their food and then tell the kids to eat it? Like, who
They
are
thought they
these
could keep us
monsters?
quiet. They thought they could keep us quiet because we played nice and polite and tried to compromise with them even after everything they put my child through. And their intentions the whole time was not to compromise or look out for Drayson's best interests. They've been looking out for their rears and only that.
I wrote Solicitor Will
Mhm.
Rogers on the 25th. I've written him multiple times. Um, Dear Solicitor Will Rogers, despite our continued efforts to engage the relevant authorities, it has been an uphill battle to ensure a thorough and impartial investigation into the disturbing incidents involving my child. I would like to bring to your attention the latest development in our quest for justice. The Hartsville Police Department's Chief Byron E. Snellgrove has recently reviewed our case. His response emphasizes the importance of child safety and acknowledges the complexities surrounding. However, there are key points that warrant further examination and action. First, the incident involving a Darlington County deputy's wife requires a more in-depth actual investigation. Legally obtained audio evidence that we possess strongly suggests that this incident was not thoroughly examined during the initial investigations. I understand that there was a handover of this case to SLED. However, to the best of my knowledge, the audio evidence, which is an integral part of this case, was not reviewed by SLED during their investigation, but was in fact withheld. It is paramount that this evidence is appropriately considered, as it may contain crucial details relevant to the case. It does. Second, it is vital to address the concerns surrounding the time period from May to August 2021. Despite our efforts to engage mandated reporters, it seems that these concerns were not adequately addressed. This period of inaction and silence should raise concerns, as mandated reporting obligations were not met. Those who neglected their duties should be held accountable for this failure. I wish to even pursue charges for their failure to do so as the law mandates. Furthermore, I wish to stress that I have never had contact with a victim's advocate, especially when presented with compelling evidence from the 7th grade. This evidence reveals a disturbing incident involving the deputy's wife visiting my son in September 2021, supported by audio recordings. This visit challenges the assertion that such an event would be quotation marks impossible. I would appreciate clarification on whether your office was in possession of these audio recordings when I provided them to Dr. Newman in August and September 2021. Additionally, I kindly request confirmation of whether Dr. Newman or any other school district personnel reported the September 2021 visit by the 6th grade teacher or even the 7th grade abuse findings discovered thus far. I want to ensure once more that all evidence, including the legally obtained audio recordings, is properly considered and investigated. Transparency and due process are paramount to achieving a just resolution. I remain dedicated to pursuing the avenues provided to us, and have been met with stonewalling tactics and feigned confusion in our quest for justice. These evasive tactics only serve to hinder our progress in seeking the truth and holding those responsible accountable. Finally, I understand the discretionary powers of your office, but I want to emphasize that as a concerned parent, I will continue to advocate for the rights and well-being of my son. It is my hope that you will take this case seriously and ensure that justice is served. We believe that our child deserves nothing less, and the evidence speaks for itself. Time has been of the essence, and we hope to see a prompt and just resolution in the near future. Time is of the essence, but they want to rather, do some feet dragging. To provide you with further context, we have attached a correspondence between Chief Byron E. Snellgrove and us, which reflects the concerns and challenges we are facing. I am also compelled to mention that our experience with the attorney who inadequately represented us, Mr. Danny Henderson, has raised serious concerns about the quality of the counsel we have received. We firmly believe that he was ineffective in handling our case, and we are currently in the process of filing a formal complaint with the Office of Disciplinary Counsel to address this matter. Therefore, we kindly request that there be no further contact with him on our behalf. Instead, we urge you to respond to our calls for help and take proactive steps to rectify the situation. Our family is in dire need of a resolution that upholds the principles of justice and ensures the well-being of our child. In the spirit of transparency and justice, I urge you to consider the gravity of the situation and act diligently to fulfill the responsibilities of your office. We are ready to collaborate and work together to ensure that justice prevails. Sincerely, me. And I wrote SLED the next day, pretty much saying the same stuff. I trust this message finds you well, and I hope it conveys the urgency and seriousness of the matter at hand. I'm writing to make an urgent and heartfelt appeal for a proper and thorough investigation to a case that involves allegations of severe abuse against my son, which was inflicted by a Darlington County deputy's wife and other individuals. I have submitted numerous requests and corresponded with Chief of Hartsville Police, the Darlington County Sheriff, and the Solicitor for the Fourth Circuit. I have shared my concerns and provided substantial evidence that should be central to this case. The evidence I possess includes legally obtained audio recordings that provide clear and irrefutable proof of wrongdoing. These recordings are a critical part of this case, and they have not been appropriately examined. It is my strong belief that the audio evidence which reveals instances of abuse and mistreatment against my son should be considered in a full investigation. SLED's failure to thoroughly review this audio evidence raises concerns and questions regarding the integrity of the investigation. I remain steadfast in my conviction that justice should prevail. I have been met with stonewalling tactics, evasive responses, and a disturbing lack of transparency regarding this case. Furthermore, I firmly believe that public corruption may be at play, protecting individuals from the charges they deserve. This situation is unacceptable and should not be tolerated. It is disheartening that despite possessing concrete evidence and repeatedly reaching out to law enforcement agencies, this case has not seen a proper resolution. The well-being and safety of our children should always be paramount, and it is our collective duty to ensure that every child's rights and welfare are protected. I implore SLED to fulfill its role and responsibility in this matter. It is my hope that you will take immediate action to conduct a thorough and unbiased investigation. Only then can we provide the justice and accountability this case demands. The evidence is readily available, and it is my firm belief that a reevaluation of this case with a focus on the legally obtained audio recordings will bring us closer to the truth and ensure that justice prevails. Thank you for your attention to this critical matter. I kindly request that you acknowledge this message promptly and initiate the necessary actions to address the concerns raised. Sincerely, me. P.S. Links to the legally obtained evidence that clearly proves child abuse can be found below in the forwarded correspondence. It also proves many mandated reporters were first made aware in May, not August.
Thank you for sharing that, TJ. And my heart goes out to y'all. I am so very sorry that any of this is happening. No parent should ever have to go through this with their child. And to hear you get emotional, it really resonates with me. Guys, this is, this is not just something that just happened last week. I mean, these parents have been fighting for Dre for 3 years, and they are just being silenced. And we've got to stand in support of Meronda and TJ and Dre, because this is wrong. This is wrong. I hear the pain in your voice, and it just, I'm sorry that I get emotional because I care about my people. And
people
I
who
just
don't
want you
even
to know we're
know
here
us.
for you.
There's people, like, I don't know anybody in this town, so, like the girls at Dollar General and stuff, I go up there regularly, get creamer, they ask me all the time how things are going. And I spoke to one of the girls today and told her about what SLED said, and she had to go sit down. She's like, I'm in shock. And she started tearing up. She's like, I never in a million years would have ever thought that they would be that callous and cold and just blatantly just be like, what you gonna do about it? You're nobody. What are you going to do about it?
It seems the only thing that's going to sway them is the public.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the news ain't, they're probably a political subsidiary of them or something.
They have
Yeah.
reached out to us and then turned around and been like, oops, sorry.
Or just don't even contact me again.
Yeah. Or just don't acknowledge, the existence of this because, that's so much easier than to deal with it.
I know that you guys are tired and frustrated, but I really appreciate you just being so honest and wanting to get this information out there. It takes a lot of bravery for you to come forward to just say this publicly.
My child's not the only one. My child, the next child, or, I meet other special needs parents regularly. And unfortunately, South Carolina is an absolute joke when it comes to having services available. So as a parent, we have to really, really be devoted. So for those people who complain about having to clock in and clock out, at least you get to clock in and clock out. I don't ever get to clock in and out. Even when I sleep, I'm dreaming of this stuff. I mean, it has consumed me, us, my entire family, my other children, my mom, people who are dealing with their own stresses are trying to look out for me because they're like, how do you do it? How do you do this? I don't know. I just have to, because I know my child's not the only one. I can keep him protected, or so I thought. And as a mom that is so overly protective of him, and this still was able to happen to my child, not only just once, but repeatedly happen to my child.
Aurora says, serious question. If they took photos of him naked and sent the photos to others, couldn't you technically report them to law enforcement for possession and distribution of child pee?
Now, I didn't know about that at all until we were at mediation. Our lawyer, our wonderful lawyer, kept that information from us.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Oh, hell no.
I did not know about that.
No. See, deep breaths, Dutch, because y'all, I cannot. Okay, Libby says, how about Disability Rights of South Carolina? Have you reached out to them?
Not directly that I'm aware of or can think of right off. But we do have an advocate. She has her hands full, but she's an amazing woman, and she has contacted the NAACP on our behalf. And I would
tell her the ACLU. That's what another former teacher in Horry County who was a teacher for like 20 years.
Right. Well,
when I told her about this, she was like, you got to go to the ACLU. That is who needs to be made aware of this. And I was like, okay. I said, I'll let them know. And then she said, will you please tell them that I'm praying for them? She said, because this is disgusting. And I said, yeah. And I said, and it's in our state. If it was in my county, oh my gosh, I know people that teach there, and I would be driving to their house right now and just being like, I know you are not okay with this.
Yeah, but everybody, follows their leader. So whatever the leader says.
We just talked about this on Tyler Doyle's live stream. I read a letter from 2014 where the South Carolina DNR employees anonymously wrote this letter calling out the corruption and saying how the director has favoritism, and he promotes and does this, and has all these puppets, while forcing other people to quit their job, or when they report that something's being done wrong, he covers for them, he makes excuses for them. And they were so tired of it, they sent this huge letter to the governor, and 25 people were carbon copied that letter all throughout the South Carolina legislative, and it was signed South Carolina employees and their spouses. And that's really scary, that you're being silenced by your own employer, so you have to reach out to the governor. Is that the kind of situation that we're in? Are we in a situation where other teachers won't speak out about what they know other teachers are doing because they're afraid they're going to lose their job? I mean, this is
Yeah,
wrong.
especially if they're married to a cop.
South Carolina Libby. Michelle, yes, you think it's listen. I've always said my 3 concern areas are South Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky,
Yeah,
because
South
we
Carolina
have
too.
we have these 3 states. There is just something innately wrong with the way the system is set up from a law enforcement aspect. It just, none of it makes sense to me, and this definitely has me concerned. I mean, my child went to school here in South Carolina, and he was bullied in school, but not by the teachers. He had ADHD, and there was a lot, but it was very difficult. It was very difficult dealing with the teachers because, once again, they blamed it on him. But I don't think they were really helping the problem. But to know that they're a source of the problem and hurting children and putting children in compromising positions and making fun of them, and these people should go to jail, and they should never be allowed to be around children.
And I even
Why are they allowing people to hurt kids
and covering it up, that just promotes it more.
Yeah, we do love Leave It to Beaver, and I know she loves you too.
Y'all make sure y'all say some prayers for her too.
Yes, I've been keeping her in my prayers. So many people have things going on, and so Leave It to Beaver, we're definitely praying for you. If you're still here listening, y'all put some hearts and prayer hands in the chat. I mean, I feel like I need to take a woosah, and because
this is emotionally
this is a lot that I really just feel terrible, Meronda. I mean, after I started looking through all of your documents, and it's a lot, guys. I mean, there is so much paperwork that
they tried to drown us.
PJ is so well spoken. He's such a well spoken person. These letters are very well written, to the point, concise. I mean, there's no he's not attacking them. He's just stating the truth, the facts, and he's getting ignored.
That's hard to do for him because he is very emotional.
Yeah, see, I've shared this with Michelle. Michelle's my admin, and I shared it with her and another one of my good friends who is a mod, and she's not here right now, but she'll probably see this live stream. Hurricane Camille, and I showed them all the only thing I couldn't download, like I said, was the recordings. And when I dropped all that in there, they were just like, wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, because it is a lot, isn't it, Michelle? We were just like, I can't believe this has even got to this point. And so I do want you guys to tell everyone about what South Carolina's plan, because from what I understand, the truancy officer is coming to your house, right?
They did, yeah. when I
I want
originally
you to
pulled him.
explain to these people what the South Carolina solution to Dre going to school is, because I want y'all to buckle
Retaliate.
up your seatbelts before they say this. You need to make sure you're sitting down, buckle up, tighten it up, because when you hear this, it's going to blow your mind.
So apparently the entire state of South Carolina is unable, in the South Carolina Department of Education's eyes, to adequately or beneficially educate my child in their eyes. So they want to send him to North Carolina for school, to a huge special needs school.
And exactly how far away from your home is this school?
If there's absolutely no traffic, an hour and 45 minutes one way.
For a special needs kid to travel. And oh, Meronda's not going to be taking him. South Carolina
Darlington County.
wants to be
Yeah.
responsible for transporting him across state lines
Money.
to said school.
So they get money off of his back.
Do you think for 5 seconds, because listen, I'm just being honest. Y'all know how I am. I have to speak on it. How, and I told you this, Meronda, I would never, ever allow them to force me to take my child and be sent to go to school out of state, number one. And number two, an hour and 45 minutes away, one way, no traffic, and they are going to be responsible for transporting him, knowing that he's special needs. What if he has an accident? What if something happens to him? What if he's abused and nobody knows about it?
They don't want to acknowledge that, because then that would, mean they would have to put effort into actually providing what he needed and where he should be going. And that's another thing. You think I'm going to let anybody at Darlington County or state of South Carolina public school at all take my child anywhere out of my sight, much less across state borders? And that's the nicest, most reasonable answer they have given. The very first option they gave us was Springbrook Institution and Travelers Rest to go institute my child. That was their first suggestion to me after I pulled him out of school.
Is that the same place that
Killed kids?
Killed a kid
Yeah.
for an improper dog pile?
Yeah.
I think was what the words were.
Yeah. Go look up Springbrook Institution and look at the Google reviews and tell me you would send anybody you cared about, much less your enemy, there.
Wait. Okay, what is the name of this school?
It's not a school. It's a mental institution.
Wait, they want to send your kid to a mental institution?
A live-in mental institution on top of it. Take away your child, put him 3 hours away in a facility, and
what's
just
the
be
name of
done
this
with it.
place?
Springbrook Institution and Travelers Rest, South Carolina. Over 3 hours away. There's no part. I basically told this exceptional ed director that if she said it again, she was going to see my fist in her mouth.
The settlement agreement was for them to pay for his most appropriate placement in a non-residential setting. So his most adequate and beneficial placement, which they agreed in an IEP meeting. We had Dr. Salas, who did his analysis,
behavioral,
proving that he's traumatized and giving her 2 cents and stuff like that in the IEP meeting. She was a part of the team. And they agreed that Beautiful Gate Center in North Charleston, South Carolina was his most adequate placement. But they didn't agree
with over an hour of
with
travel.
Transportation. Over an hour of travel is, I agree, that's
a little much.
That's a lot. Go just one way. So you looked up, okay, what are some other options? Maybe a train. Train's out of the question because what?
Amtrak had 1 to North Charleston at 3 something in the morning and 1 Amtrak coming back at like 9 o'clock at night. So, and there was no way they could kind of morph that around. That was their only one to and from.
So then you reached out to the.
So, you know.
Now it also says diligently do this. This was back in April. This
not
is
for me
7 months
to do it. The school district is supposed to be doing all this.
Yeah, and we've done all the work. And 7 months later, he's still not. That's not diligence. You know, to where I was being a smart ass, I think, in an IEP meeting, like, do you know what diligence means? Would you like me to give you some synonyms? And
and you
funny,
know,
not funny.
This would have never even gotten escalated, I think, once his assistant in 7th grade was placed with him. Things probably would have been evened out with him being there. But as soon as they took him, the whole nightmare and trauma repeated, and the fingers were pointed at us. We were the ones, you know, showing our butts and, you know, asking for too much. You're asking for a person to be put with your child. We offer your child a program, not a person, even though that person is the tool to make my son feel safe in the environment he was traumatized in. They didn't care to hear about that. And I would love to have the Zoom IEP meeting that I called with the superintendent shown to everybody at some point. I believe his IEP meetings are pretty lengthy, so it's probably a good hour on its own. I don't know exactly how long it is, but they're usually about an hour to 4 hours long, because I'm a thorough, invested mother. And I care about my kids. I care about all kids. You know, Dutchess, that's why we get it. Like, you know, I'm not a YouTube creator because I'm shy and, you know, I stay to myself. And when I get mad, I get ghetto. So that's why TJ handles all the.
This is a very interesting place. I mean, it says that it has acute short term, but it does have residential treatment. But this is where they want him to go.
Look at the Google reviews on that place.
I think they gave you that in Homebound.
Yep.
Which Homebound was, you know, we told them that's an inadequate option. Even the doctors told them that.
Yeah, and then they do this whole back and forth, like, oh no, anything over an hour is just too much. Okay, well, there's only about a 20-minute difference of sending him to the appropriate school in South Carolina. That's not a public school. The special needs school in North Carolina isn't a public school either. But the public school would get kickbacks.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. And that is in the process of being exposed.
Really?
Because, yes, all the way up to the top. South Carolina Department of Education. They've stole $400 million from IDEA grant money, and they don't want to say where that's gone, because it sure isn't going to the special needs kids services like it's supposed
Least
to.
restrictive environment. Yes, ma'am. You're absolutely right. A free, appropriate public education. Section 504.
And see,
IDEA.
That's
very knowledgeable in that stuff.
That's where the school district has stonewalled us. They said, oh, well, we want him to go here and we want to drive him. That's our solution. We don't care what your solution is or what's adequate.
Right.
I mean, they go so far as to break federal law and close down and mute people on Zoom meetings, IEP meetings, because they don't want you to other people to hear what's actually going on. I mean, I've literally had the cops called on me to showing up for my own son's IEP meeting. And then they falsify the report.
Libby, are you busy? Are you still babysitting? What are you doing today? You want to come up here on panel for a minute? Because this is the person that you need to really talk to, who can probably answer some of your questions. But you know, she's busy. She might be with her grandbabies. I don't know what she's doing. You can? Okay, I'm gonna send you a link. Hang on.
And like I said, I'm open to suggestions. I mean, even I wanted this to turn out to be like a happy story where like we worked with the school district, because I did not know about all the HR reports against this woman and them covering it up. So I'm thinking, you know, these tears and, you know, they're being sincere about, oh, you know, we're sorry, embarrassed, let us fix this, blah, blah, blah. All along, they knew that this woman was doing this to other kids the whole time, covering it up for her. And her husband still is the police officer that does the rounds at every Darlington County school district. So, I mean, it's blatantly like out there that this is happening. And again, it's just, we don't do social media. We're not some big time people. You know, I'm 14th generation South Carolinian. That should be enough. I mean, I live in South Carolina,
Amen.
period. You know,
Amen to
we
that.
should matter.
And that's why we have this platform, is so that citizens of this state, if you have a missing persons, if you are a victim of a crime, if you have a story that you want to share, I've said that before, and that's when Meronda reached out to me. And Meronda, I really appreciate you sharing this, because I mean, I would have had no idea that this was even a thing with teachers' aides. I mean, when you told me they took pictures of your son, like, I mean, I went into.
Yeah, I imagine
was
being
crying to
told
my
that.
husband. It upset
Imagine
me
being
so
told
bad.
that in mediation, when you're sitting here discussing, like, mediating like a civil outcome. I got told that 2 minutes into an almost 8-hour mediation, but that wasn't signed under duress. Are you kidding me?
My hand still hurts.
2 minutes into that meeting and that mediation, I found out that there were multiple HR reports against him I didn't know about, and there were naked pictures of my son that you can't undo. They're out there, and there's too many sick people in the world. Like, you can't undo that.
Hey, Libby, thanks for joining us.
But before that,
what do
they
you
were doing
think about
false
all
truancy
this?
charges. You took them out in 8th grade.
Yeah, I took them out,
And
and they started sending truancy officers to my door instead of giving me options.
yeah, they promised you options, and
Yeah.
instead of giving you options, they unenrolled him
hmm
and started pursuing false truancy charges.
To the point where there was a apparent bench warrant out for my arrest.
Right.
What?
And
Yes,
then
Yeah,
there was,
I've heard of that before. What was the outcome, though?
they got rid of it before I even knew about it. The only reason I even knew about it is because it was presented in evidence.
Because there isn't
we
a
were
judge
trying
in the
to do,
world. There isn't
a
a judge
due
in the world that
process.
would enforce that.
Yeah, exactly. They realize they messed with the wrong one, so now they're just trying to keep everyone from knowing what we've gone through.
So you did file a complaint with the Department of Education?
That doesn't sound familiar. I know we
with
OCR,
OCR, we had IDEA due process proceedings.
and FIEP,
Right.
which was a joke.
The very next day after mediation, they showed up again with false truancy charges. So I started writing them even more, like calling out the law on them and showing them the assessment where he's traumatized and all that stuff. How I can't quote it right now. I have it in my emails where I was quoting the law very well, and all of a sudden it kind of went away, and they've yet to retaliate that way right now, which I'm sure they will. But it's not just about being sick in a nutshell. Like, that keeps it would be a lawful absence. Like, okay, a doctor's note or
would
or
any of
whatnot.
y'all send your children to this school? No, if your child went through this, as a parent,
No.
I would. How on earth would I ever trust anybody that works for that? There's one person at that school district that I trust, and that's his aide that he used to have, because he's willing to testify on behalf of my son, even though the school district is trying to scare tactic him into shutting up.
So have they offered you other options within the school district?
No, because they don't know what to do.
They've already admitted they're ill-equipped. They can't handle
Okay.
Greg and his trauma.
So if they're ill-equipped, they do have the obligation and should have the funding to get training.
The training did nothing. They sent the teacher and the aide after the original aide was taken from him for no good reason. They sent him and the teacher to the Smith-Magenis conference that was held in Texas. And when they came back, things progressed even worse with my son.
Oh my.
And a little backstory on this new aide that was placed. He is a church member that goes to church with the superintendent, and the superintendent chose to place him there with my son, to use my son as a stepping stone for him to get a free college education from the school district. That's why he's there. And I called him all out on everything at the emergency meeting I called after Drayson was suspended from school. And I told them I want the superintendent and the aide there. And I very detailed explained things to them and asked him, ever since, the first aide was with him, since he's been gone, what has benefited Drayson? Crickets.
Here's where I quote the law about the truancy. Dear Miss Peterson, I am writing to follow up on our recent phone call where I was hung up on, to further explain some issues presented during our discussion and to provide additional information regarding my son. During our conversation, we discussed the importance of recognizing my son's mental health-related absences as lawful as outlined in the South Carolina Code of Laws and the South Carolina Department of Education guidelines. It is my firm belief that when a student's attendance in school would endanger their mental health, well-being, or the health of others, such absences should be considered valid and lawful, just as with physical illnesses. As a parent, I completely understand the significance of regular school attendance for my child's academic progress and overall development. However, I also want to stress that my son's trauma is equally critical and should not be overlooked or underestimated. Mental health-related challenges can significantly impact the student's ability to cope with school demands and may necessitate necessary absences for their well-being, especially when we were promised options. Illness related to mental health should be considered a lawful absence if the student's attendance in school would endanger their mental health or the health of others. In many cases, mental health conditions can have a significant impact on a student's ability to attend school regularly and can warrant absences. Mm-hmm. The South Carolina Code of Laws does specify that lawful absences include, quotation marks, absences caused by a student's own illness and whose attendance in school would endanger his or her health or the health of others. This includes both physical and mental health conditions. I understand when dealing with illness absences, it's essential to provide proper documentation and support from healthcare professionals or specialists who can validate the need for these absences. This documentation can help school officials understand the situation and work with you to find appropriate accommodations or support for your child's mental health needs. In light of this, I am committed to ensuring that the proper measures are taken to safeguard my son's well-being and providing proper evidence to support my son's absences. This evaluation offers valuable insights and provides a professional assessment. I firmly believe that the evaluation will serve as essential evidence to demonstrate the validating of any illness that may arise. It will also help inform the school administration again about the appropriate accommodations or support my son may require to succeed academically while managing his trauma effectively. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I look forward to a positive response that acknowledges the significance of illness absences and the value of proper evidence such as the provided evaluation. Please feel free to reach out to us if you require any further information or if there are any specific steps I should further take to not have unwarranted retaliatory truancy charges. To which they wrote back pretty much saying, well, that evaluation was done back in April, so it's been too long. We can't accept that. Well, they didn't accept it back in April.
So
they didn't care about it.
What about homebound? I know you mentioned that. Is there some reason you do not want that?
No, homebound is inadequate.
He is very socially, he needs, put it this way, his developmental pediatrician made me make her a promise when she started seeing him. She's one of the experts on the East Coast. She's seen 7 cases. So Drayson was the 7th child that she's handled with Smith-Magenis syndrome. And she made me make her a promise that I would never homeschool or homebound him because the school district would, or South Carolina would never have him back into regular school. And that would be detrimental to his social and emotional development because emotionally, no matter how smart he gets book smart wise, emotionally processing is at like 2 to 4 years old. So if you could imagine the most traumatic experience you've ever dealt with and try to process that like a 2-year-old, that's what my son's dealing with.
It sounds like you all have done every single thing.
Everything we can think of.
Yeah, that I would have advised a parent to do. But the school district is just not doing their part. I would, if you haven't filed a complaint with the Department of Education, I would make sure that you do that.
Yeah, because didn't you say something about that you had reached out to civil rights? Because when you reach out to the Department of Education, like that's where they're going to have you to send that. They have a civil rights department. In fact, it's
I have talked all the way up to DC.
yeah,
to the
this is
Oversight
the South
Committee.
Carolina Department of Education does not handle complaints about schools not following 504, which is about the IEP plans, the IDEA. They can be
Added
sent to the
services.
IDEA complaint investigation, or
Right.
you can send them to the Office of Civil Rights in South Carolina or in Washington. And
Right.
that's what
And
I
we
was
do have
wondering
the
if you can
OCR
contact
complete
them.
case number, and we were told that we would be hearing from a lawyer, someone handling the case and whatnot. But again, we get silence when we are thinking, okay, we're lawyered up, we're doing everything we can, we're doing all the research, going above and beyond to help the school make the appropriate decision for him. And it just either just falls on deaf ears, people play dumb, or pawn it off. Oh, well, talk to this person. And that person's like, why are you calling me? I can't help you. It's just been
Yeah,
a
just go
runaround.
check and see if you have, did you
Sorry.
file a Section 504 complaint with the U.S. Department of Education? Because that I feel like that's one of the things that you should definitely do, because it says that once you've done that, then it gives you a different, things that about, appealing the process, the due process decision will go before the State Department of Education. And then based on that process hearing, you can seek
I
a
would not
civil
hold my
lawsuit.
breath with anything to do with South Carolina Department of Education.
Well, this one actually goes through Washington. That's where you'll have to send the 504 complaint, because I don't think South Carolina handles it. I think you got to send it through to Washington. But I would still
Pretty
contact
sure I
that
did. The last
also.
thing I had with them is recently I did a FOIA request for what was it, Rain First Lance, or something. Complaint number, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Anyways, which was an agreement signed between the U.S. Department of Education, the South Carolina Department of Education, and OCR back in 2001 that granted parents' rights in choosing the hearing officer.
Because there's a lot of biasness, and the district will get somebody who's their buddy to look out for them, which they still do.
So when you went for mediation, was there a representative from the State Department there?
I honestly couldn't tell you exactly who was there, because like I said, 2 minutes in, I was in total shock. I should have, let's just say it put me into a 4-day, I would call psychosis almost. I couldn't do anything other than think horrible thoughts and cry, to the point where I had to go see my doctor or something bad was going to happen.
This is when you first were told about the pictures of your son.
Right.
Yeah.
And was your advocate with you?
No, at that time, we were still under the impression that we had a lawyer looking out for my child. It wasn't until after mediation that we really found out who Danny Henderson is.
And
I
he's
literally went to
affiliated
the
with the
bathroom and
Murdoch
puked when I found
lawyers,
out.
right?
Like
who
when
he
the whole
was.
Murdaugh thing was going on, and everyone's watching the TV and watching it live, the court proceedings. We didn't watch none of that until after it was done.
I couldn't.
We were still dealing with everything that we were dealing with. We knew. I think it was September of 2021. We were seeing that law firm on the news,
Right.
PMPED or whatever. Those guys.
Yeah, the power.
And we're like, oh crap, that's our law firm.
Yeah, we didn't make the connection. Like it just didn't even register. And then we heard something about the law firm and Murdoch. And we're like, what? And
had no idea Danny Henderson was the guy sitting behind him.
Yeah.
In the car where he's his ass off. Had no idea. We found this out in April, really, who Danny Henderson is.
And I literally and vomited. And
I felt the blame.
I'm so sorry.
Looked more, screened more on who he was, and
he was a super
lawyer.
All
that stuff.
He's dealt with the school district before.
That's the whole reason I reached out to him. I searched Darlington County school abuse to see if there was any, prior like news out there of what's happened in this district and stuff. And it popped up something about an incident on a school bus, and a lawyer named Danny Henderson represented the parent and yada yada. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to him, seeing as how he's already had experience with them,
thinking we had a super lawyer who's going to look out for my baby, had his best interest.
He looked out for the district.
He looked out for his pocket and walked away and said, sorry, what you going to do?
So I would love to have a lawyer to be able to take him for ineffective and have the settlement agreement, thrown out and all that stuff. But that's a big undertaking, and it's just not the best option. I'm assuming we're doing a motion to enforce a settlement agreement. I'm submitting my complaint to disciplinary counsel, which I already have written up. I'm just gathering the evidence to prove it. And so that will get his fees, Drayson's fees, given back to Drayson. And then we'll go after him for legal malpractice.
Right.
And I do want to send this live stream to a couple of people that I know.
Feel free to send it to
that know some people, and I want them to watch this, because I'm hoping that maybe they can tell me, maybe your story will light a fire, because they know people, they know the governor, maybe they'll know, hey, I'm going to make a phone call.
Lord, my guys are no help for a widow's son.
So that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. And that's why I said anything that you want to share. And listen, if we need to come back again, I know it's getting close to dinner time for a lot of people. And like, if you guys need to go, I'm going to have to jump off here by 6. It's 5:26 now. So we got a little bit longer, but we can have another live stream. Let people kind of digest what we've talked about today, and get together some things. If there's some voice clips that you want, select things that you want to share, you can make like a little recording of just select things that you can have prepared. Or if there's a video of something that you want to share, you can share that. If there's certain documents you want me to share, you can just contact me and let me know when you're interested in doing this again. And we can have like a part 2. And it'll give you guys a chance to like look into the South Carolina Department of Education to see if have you contacted them, talk to your advocate and just ask them like about the ACLU and things like that. And Libby, do you have anything that you want to say? Because I know this has got to be crazy to just hear for you.
It is crazy, but I'm not surprised. I've dealt with many, many, many asinine situations like this.
Well, we've talked.
that
You've
you
told
just
me about
can't
a
believe.
few.
You just can't freaking believe.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you all, what do you want immediately? Like, what do you all need?
My son needs to be in school. He needs to be where I know he will be safe and protected and educated properly.
And these people need to be held accountable
Exactly.
before Solicitor Will Rogers closes the book. And then what can you do? Nothing.
So
Nothing.
the immediate need for sure is his education.
Yes, and
Well, are they
that
providing anything at this point?
none. They have completely
Except for they
gone.
want him to go an hour and 45 minutes to North Carolina.
They
Yeah,
want
Their only
their
option.
wants and conveniences and norms.
Even
It's
though
individualized. It's not districtized.
and the
So-
thing is, you know, this place that they're suggesting in North Carolina, it's not even like I have a problem with the school. I have a problem with it. It's not in my home state. And the fact that the size of this school is bigger than a regular public school environment. And they've already agreed that that is number one, too much. A public school is the environment is just too hustle and bustle to be able to have him be able to be balanced throughout a whole school day, which he was doing great and fine with and able to do up until he was traumatized. So that's a no just on the size of the place and the location of it. And again, you know, anything over an hour is too much of a drive.
So are there options in the district that you would consider?
None, absolutely none. Then
Okay.
I think they're in agreement. They don't want nothing to do with us if they have any hands.
So here's my question. If in a perfect world, what would happen right now? Because I understand you don't want to send him away somewhere, but yet you don't want him educated in the district. So what are the other options really?
Right. And we've mulled over every single one I think you could possibly think of on planet Earth. But the best.
Is there another place in South Carolina that can educate your child?
Yes. Beautiful Gate Center in North Charleston is a very small facility. Me and TJ both grew up in that area. It's not a place you exactly want to live. It's, you know, it's North Charleston, you know, it's outer city, inner city kind of, you know, but the school
But it's a good school.
is amazing. Yes.
Okay. And so why will they not consider this for you?
Okay. This was the original thing.
Okay.
Beautiful Gate Center is in North Charleston. That is 2 hours and 16 minutes from my door if you drive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get in the car and drive to Melmark in North Carolina, it's an hour and 45 minutes now. And this is, you know, interstates, you know, South Carolina, North Carolina traffic. Interstates usually have morning stop and go and all this other stuff. So because they told me an hour was, you know, too much, I said, okay. And I contacted the Hartsville Regional Airport and talked to the field manager. They do flight pilot instruction and stuff like that. The town of Hartsville owns the airport. I reached out to the mayor. I reached out to the airport. I reached out to Mark DeFields, who is the field operating manager. Everybody is super stoked and on board with putting him on a chartered plane and flying him to and from. Because Boeing, my mom works at Boeing, and so she works in quality, and we did a lot of, you know, bouncing numbers, bouncing ideas and everything off.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a specific plane. It is the safest plane on the planet. And driving my son to the airport, him getting on the plane and going to Charleston International Airport. The school is 6 miles from International Airport. So it would be all in all about 45 minutes tops, start to finish, to get him to and from, you know, to get him there. And then you're not dealing with traffic. You're not dealing with, you know, possible wrecks. And he's all for adventure and you know, things like that. So it wouldn't be a problem for him to transition to going to school that way. I think he'd be more than elated.
I was going to say, that sounds like pretty badass.
Right. And the thing is, I don't have the numbers, but crunching it all down, it's a lot cheaper to outright buy this used plane that's in great condition and, pay for the maintenance and stuff. And then, have the pilot from Hartsville Regional, he wants to be the pilot, to take him and maintain the plane and everything like that. So there's a whole super structure that's willing to be there, but the school district has to agree with it. And they're like, oh no, we're not spending $2 million on a plane, but money's not an object here. That's what they said, because Melmark's $40,000 more a year than the school I want him to go to. And it's actually a lot more expensive to either rent a pilot and plane or to drive him even back and forth every day, even to Melmark. It's more expensive to drive him every day than it is to just outright have a plane on hand to provide him a reliable, constant to and from school safely. And, this could be a start of something that could provide other kids with the same thing.
Right.
Oh, well, they're 50 miles away from the proper school that they need to go to. Get them on the plane, get them there. They do this for special needs and medical appointments. Their education is just as important.
It is. Absolutely.
And the foundation is there. And until South Carolina has more special needs schools that can adequately, teach kids, not pawn them off on another state, then that's what would be perfect for him right now.
Here's a response.
And most reasonable and safest.
Here's a response we had to the district back in August 10th that stated, we had an IEP meeting and we had Dr. Salas on there, the one who did the evaluation, proving he's been traumatized and whatnot. And she was a part of the team, letting him know what would be inadequate options and stuff like that, which were noted on his IEPs, what would be inadequate, like homebound stuff. Yet you still recommend homebound. You're going against what the team has been deciding and whatnot. So anyways, we sent them this correspondence. We said, Dear Sarah 2 and District. Sarah 2 is the, who is she? The Special Education.
Exceptional Ed District Director.
She's the Special Ed Director. Anyways. She's also a mandated reporter who refused to do anything back in May 2021. I have communicated to you extensively over the years in recent months, detailing a multitude of profound concerns related to the trauma my son endured in your district and the ongoing impacts this continues to have on his mental health, emotional well-being, and ability to succeed academically. Despite my repeated correspondence and pleas, your responses have alarmingly failed to address or properly account for the various critical issues I have raised regarding the abuse my son experienced, the lack of accountability and justice, and the unsafe environment your schools continue to represent for my vulnerable child. Moreover, you have completely dismissed outright a thorough, independent medical evaluation conducted by a psychiatric professional clearly demonstrating my son's current severe struggles with trauma and his inability to safely and appropriately attend school in your district at this time. This professional also provided her medical expertise directly at my son's IEP meetings. Yet her credible determinations highlighting the inappropriateness of your school's environment for my son seems to have been ignored and brushed aside. This outright dismissal of the strong medical evidence presented was made without my reasonable justification, concrete counter evidence, or satisfactory explanation provided on your part. However, the district did not seem to care about this credible medical evidence, even back when you were actively pushing for unjustified, retaliatory false truancy charges against my son, all because the district failed to fulfill its basic promises for appropriate accommodations and instead created an educational environment unsafe and detrimental for my traumatized child. The district's willingness to disregard this evaluation's findings without cause while pushing for false truancy charges against my child underscores the district's severe lack of reasonable good faith efforts to understand and accommodate my son's trauma and needs. If the district would like an additional assessment conducted by Dr. Salas to further verify her credible findings, they are welcome to cover the cost of retaining her services again themselves, as I will not bear that financial or logistical weight again, when the existing evaluation is already abundantly clear. Furthermore, in spite of the extremely profound and grave worries about my son's safety, security, and overall well-being in your district schools, worries stemming directly from the harrowing trauma and abuse he has already endured while under the improper and negligent care of your district, you persist in aggressively pushing for him to return to school environments that have been very clearly demonstrated and documented as inappropriate, ill-equipped, and actively psychologically and emotionally harmful for his unique needs as a child with a disability. This rigidly unyielding stance seems contrary to and in defiance of his fundamental rights and positive protections guaranteed under IDEA and Section 504 as a child with a disability. I sincerely plead the district finally hear the concerns and make a real diligent effort to secure the most adequate, structured, and safe placement, settings, and creative, tailored solutions that would far better serve my uniquely vulnerable son's daily interests, provide him with a truly supportive and nurturing environment, facilitate his long process of healing from trauma, and prevent any further emotional damage, psychological harm, or physical distress to him and our family as a whole. I worry each passing day without appropriate help chips away at my son's development, stability, and trust. Therefore, timeliness in resolving this has always been absolutely paramount. It should be readily apparent that my son requires an environment focused first and foremost on rebuilding trust, providing trauma-informed care, giving him the nurturing support he needs to genuinely heal and thrive, and ensuring his absolute safety and well-being. I want nothing more than for you and the district to stop being an obstacle. We already know his best placement that fully meets his distinctive educational and emotional needs in ways your district has thus far failed to do. He deserves an education focused on his growth and merely procedural compliances and norms, and not merely procedural compliances and norms. Think outside the box. Stop being an obstacle for my son's future. This process has been deeply frustrating and detrimental to my son given the district's inaction. My foremost goal is securing the best placement and path forward, focused squarely on my son's well-being and healing. I have presented thoughtful solutions. It is time the district acts compassionately. Continued obstruction around transportation options, like attempting to mandate driving over flying, is unreasonable and unsafe. My son's needs must take priority over district egos and stubbornness. We have outlined the most adequate placement and the most reasonable transportation accommodations for my son. It is the IEP team's duty to collaborate on fulfilling these solutions, not further obstruct them. The district must drop the self-focused mindset and prioritize my son's health, safety, and legal rights. This requires flexibility, not rigid adherence to preferential norms. I ask that you generally consider the proposed most adequate option with openness. My son deserves an environment facilitating thriving, not prolonging frustration. The district itself initially acknowledged the unacceptable risk of lengthy driving and agreed to consider flying as the reasonable transportation solution. However, you have since backpedaled on this agreement and reopened dead arguments for prolonged travel by car, despite admitting this was problematic. I must make absolutely clear that any placement other than the one we have outlined as fully suited to his needs will not only be considered temporarily and under full duress and protest until the district diligently fulfills its legal obligations. The district has a duty to fund and facilitate the specific placement. It is the most adequate, uniquely appropriate, and essential for my son to receive a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. No other placement suggested would provide this for my son. Therefore, while I will consider temporary options under duress for my son's well-being, this should not be construed as acceptance of those settings as fully appropriate. I will continue advocating for the district to pay for my son to be in the program specifically designated to meet his distinctive needs, and any steps short of that should be viewed as temporary measures while pushing for the diligent proper placement. The district must make this right for my son without further delays or excuses. Additionally, I must emphasize that the district deliberately disregarded my parental input and wishes as part of the IEP team in the past. Specifically, administrators have insisted on including certain staff like Carla Jefferson against my express objections. Individuals who have no direct role in my son's education and cause agitation due to past issues. This appears to be a purposeful tactic to frustrate constructive dialogue or even mute it. I expect the district to respect my input as an equal IEP team member without forcing the involvement of unnecessary figures against my wishes. My goal is a process focused on my son, not retaliation or distraction. Furthermore, the district must cease obstructing my son's right to an appropriate education by perpetuating his inappropriate stay-put placement as you continue stonewalling his clearly needed most adequate placement. The time for excuses is over. The district must act now to provide my son the placement he properly requires and deserves without further petty retaliation or procedural delays. Moreover, it is essential again to emphasize that the district itself has plainly acknowledged its own lack of capability to adequately meet my son's distinctive educational needs, yet you persist in forcing him into cookie-cutter settings that various professionals and experts have deemed inappropriate and harmful for his well-being. District administrators have stated clearly in meetings and correspondence that you are ill-equipped to handle my son's unique requirements. Yet, despite these admissions, you continue improperly trying to make him fit into one-size-fits-all placements that ignore his trauma and developmental needs. This is unacceptable and unlawful. My extensive concerns outlined in my July 25th letter. This seems to have been wholly disregarded as well. It's time for the district to acknowledge its limitations and work with me to find a truly appropriate solution for my son instead of continuing to impose improper, damaging options. Under South Carolina law, my son's mental health issues and overall well-being clearly fall under the category of health and illness concerns. The state statutes explicitly grant parents the right to protect their child from situations that would be detrimental to their health. This unquestionably includes restricting their attendance at educational environments which fail to meet their individualized needs and, in fact, actively exacerbate their health conditions. I have the lawful right and responsibility as a parent to withhold my child from your school settings that you provide, which do not suit his needs and which subject him to further trauma and harm. The district must recognize this and collaborate with me to find an appropriate solution. Forcing my child into a psychologically destructive environment violates state law protecting his health. Until the district fully upholds its own settlement agreement and assures that my son at last receives the best, most adequate, proper, free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment that he is legally entitled to, I will continue exercising my full parental rights to withhold my son from attending your inadequate schools in order to protect his safety, well-being, and mental health. Past attempts at virtual learning were quickly proven woefully inadequate, especially under Carl Jefferson's leadership, and a homebound/home-based setting is highly inappropriate and insufficient for my son's unique educational developmental needs. It is imperative that the district immediately cease all retaliatory, discriminatory actions against me and my family, and instead focus exclusively on constructively resolving the situation surrounding determining and providing my son's rightful educational placement and services. I expect the district to fully adhere to the law as well as the binding settlement agreement reached in April and promptly provide my son with the education services he is entitled to under IDEA, Section 504, ADA, and other statutes without further petty retaliation or delay. Given the gravity and urgency of the situation and my profound concerns for my son's physical and emotional safety, if left with no other course, we will be forced to request a temporary virtual home-based placement under full duress in the least restrictive environment, under full duress and protest until the district finally resolves its manufactured issues surrounding finding my son's most adequate placement. This decision is not made lightly, as I understand the importance of an inclusive, supportive educational setting. However, I fear further retaliation for advocating for my son's needs. As his mother, I believe his well-being depends on an environment meeting his needs where he can thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. Your continued suggestions of an unsuitable homebound placement baffles me. Furthermore, I believe the recent enrollment change placing my son at Hartsville High School was made under false pretenses, as the process spoken of is clearly fabricated, given my son's father was simultaneously removed inexplicably from all contact lists and correspondence. Therefore, under duress, I am formally requesting a temporary home-based, least restrictive environment placement for my son under IDA Section 504 due to substantiated teacher abuse, administrative negligence, and ongoing retaliation with DCSD. This will safeguard my rights and protect my son until the district fulfills its obligations. I never enrolled my child in Hartsville High School, and no one can override my parental rights. Given the district's failures, I have no confidence in your integrity or my child's safety. Until a proper administrative decision on placement is reached, you cannot force your will upon me as my child's voice and advocate. Please forward the appropriate paperwork for this temporary home-based placement immediately, which I still haven't done. This temporary placement under duress is needed to protect my son while we fight for the environment he deserves. The district's ongoing expenditure of resources to obstruct my son's most appropriate placement through legal maneuvers is highly troubling, especially when transportation is dismissed as a financial issue and lawyers are readily funded to stonewall progress. More alarming is the district's failure to properly address the teachers and aides responsible for abusing my son, while simultaneously seeking to unfairly penalize me, his protector and advocate. This demonstrates clear bias and lack of accountability. I demand to understand why no meaningful action was taken against those who harmed my son, retaining their employment, while my family faces punishment for seeking justice. Additionally, my son's inappropriate enrollment in Hartsville High School occurred despite my objections, and I remain deeply concerned for his safety there, especially following yesterday's staff arrest on serious allegations. Why were my son's proven abusers not arrested when clear lawful evidence exists, yet my child is forced into an unsafe environment? I desire justice and a safe education, not continued harm. Sarah, too, you also stated in an IEP meeting you needed a life coach for the situation. Your callous actions and lack of compassion indicate it is true. You could benefit from life coaching to be a decent human being, right? Rather than the antagonistic, unempathetic bureaucrat you have proven yourself to be through this process. As my son's tireless advocate and caretaker, I have done extensive research and demonstrated diligent acumen regarding his disability, legal rights, and individual needs. Possessing real-world expertise, no doctor title can replace when it comes to caring for my child and fighting for his best interest. Even medical doctors have acknowledged that I am the true professional when it comes to intimately understanding and addressing the needs associated with my son's rare Smith-Magenis syndrome. Smith-Magenis. Potato, potato, tater, tato. While I understand a parent may not be able to handpick staff assignments, I absolutely reserve the right to expressly deny or reject the involvement of any district staff member or administrators who have proven themselves unqualified, ineffective, biased, or needlessly problematic regarding my son's case. As his mother and fiercest advocate, it is non-negotiable that I have a say in keeping unsuitable or detrimental individuals out of matters pertaining to my vulnerable child's well-being and education. We are still awaiting a response from Lynette Cox regarding scheduling the facilitated IEP meeting that is desperately needed. When I went to fill out the online request form personally, I found it was already filled out without my input. I had only provided basic information and never specified this meeting's purpose of my son's appropriate, most adequate placement at Beautiful Gate Center, North Charleston. I must emphasize that the district is legally required under federal law, including IDEA Section 504, ADA, to provide my son with a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. The ongoing failure to do so, despite his evident needs and rights as a child with a disability, represents a clear violation of the law. Moreover, the trauma he has endured occurred under the direct supervision and care of the district schools and staff. Thus, you have an inherent obligation to actively remedy and address it. I have attempted in good faith to resolve these urgent matters through proper channels for far too long, without resolution. Each day that passes without action by the district only compounds the damage being done to our family as a whole. Therefore, I am formally requesting an immediate FIEP meeting with an external neutral mediation to address these issues collaboratively but decisively, and I have documented your actions in action extensively. I remain firm yet hopeful, however, that the district will promptly and diligently implement what is just and required for my son. He deserves nothing less. I have yet to receive an adequate response detailing how the district plans to remedy the trauma my son endured under your care. Simply stating that you will look into it has proven to be insufficient. The issues demand concrete accountability and action steps, not empty promises. My son's safety, rights, and needs require your urgent attention. I want assurances of specific plans to address past harms, ongoing safety issues, and prevent future failures. My son deserves to heal and thrive. Vague procedural statements without meaningful solutions are not enough. I expect a detailed response outlining district-specific commitments to right these wrongs. My son's well-being hangs in the balance. So our education, parents, and pro se advocates for DB, you and I. And we CC'd Evelyn Weaver, OCR,
and also Beautiful Gate Center, the woman who started the school, also a mother who had it with her child being warehoused as a special needs child and being abused and, neglected and what have you. Thankfully not on the extreme level that we're dealing with, but enough for her to say, I am starting a school and I am tailoring it to what kids need. Life skills, not ABC 1, 2, 3. He's 14. And Ellen Weaver, the state superintendent, is very close with her and is talking about restructuring all of South Carolina's special education instructions and curriculum to what she has put together, because it is so beneficial for our kids. And basically, it's life skills first, academics and things like that are the bonus.
Yeah, I was just looking. I was just looking them up. I see Mount Pleasant Magazine did an article about the Beautiful Gate Center.
Yeah, and they offer amazing services. You know, they are constantly taking them out in the community. Yeah, it's a small facility, but they go out and they go to the beach. They go out and they go horseback riding. They,
I'm gonna share that.
go out and be part of the community, not just, oh, you have special needs, you're not important in the world, so just stay in your little bubble. Like Darlington County has totally made me feel. We've been here we've been here 3 years, and I know nobody except for my neighbor, because we've been so invested in to this nonsense.
Have you had an IEP meeting yet to, under duress, I understand, agree to home-based for temporary?
It was brought up, but again, the last thing their contact with me was, we want him to go to Melmark, and we want to drive him with one of our Darlington County employees every day, and that's where we're at, even though Sarah too and the rest of the IEP team agree that Beautiful Gate Center is where he needs to be going.
So they would still have to have an IEP meeting to do that, right?
Right. Well, that's where we had the facilitated IEP meeting, and there was no resolution at the end of it. And my son's occupational therapist grabbed my hand and was like, can we please, she's like, if you want Drayson to be at Beautiful Gate Center, I want Drayson to be at Beautiful Gate Center, because that's what he needs. If Melmark was the school that I thought my child would be able to thrive in, then he'd be going there.
Right.
And they all understand where I'm coming from, but they have a boss who does not care, and they will answer for him and back him up.
And he doesn't attend the meeting?
No, I made him attend an emergency meeting. I called after he was suspended, and
Where they promised you options.
yeah, and that was just a I'm an egotistical man that is going to have things my way, and I don't care how it affects you or doesn't affect you. This is what I have to do.
Here's my 2 pieces of advice. One is, pay close attention to what your prior written notices say.
Oh yeah.
You always want them to read exactly the way that they have spoken to you, because you're going to make them put their money where their mouth is.
Right.
Okay. So do you get the prior written notice while you're still in the meeting, or do they send it to you later?
Depends. There's some that I haven't gotten for weeks.
Okay. Well, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
If I were you, I would say, I'm staying in this meeting until I get the prior written notice, and I need it to say, I need it to be accurate. And so you sit there until they read it to you and you agree that that is accurate.
Yeah, we've gotten into some disputes on that, and they put down whatever they want, regardless of if I'm recording them. They don't care. We've literally printed out laws to them, and the special education director literally flung them across the room and said, that's not how we do it in this district.
When they do that, have you followed it up with either a letter or an email stating, these are the issues with this prior written notice?
Yes.
Good. Because you're gonna need all that.
Oh yeah.
So that's my other piece of advice, is just save everything. And it sounds like you have. But so what you need to have in order for him to get approved for that other school is, you have to prove with hard data that the school that you're talking about has services that the other one does not have.
And see, that's not even the main problem. Again, it goes back to the size. Melmark is a huge school, and they're growing
Then
constantly.
that is part of it. That's part of it.
Right.
But you
And
have to
they're
get
aware,
the
and they
team.
agree.
If
They've
they
already
agree,
agreed to this.
then you make them put in the prior written notice why they're disagreeing to that school that you want him at.
Because the district wants Melmark, and they're 60 miles closer. And those
Right.
Then that's what they have to put in the prior written notice.
they did.
Okay, then you keep fighting. You just keep fighting and keep getting it in the prior written notice and just keep going higher and higher and higher above their heads.
Meronda, I have to ask a question real quick. Have you and TJ ever considered moving closer to the North Charleston area so that you don't have to deal with Darlington? I'm just curious.
See, yeah,
Yeah.
and like I said, we've gone through every possible scenario. I mean, it's been brought up to
We've invested and divested so much that I don't think we should be. It wouldn't be right. This is our home. This is where we made our home, and I don't think we should be uprooted or inconvenienced anymore.
yeah, that would be
I
traumatizing for
understand.
my entire family. Not only that, but we have 12 big dogs and 9 acres. And even, if the district were to be, because it's been brought up, well, how about have an apartment closer and one of you live there and then on the weekend go home? That's not going to work for Drayson, because we walk on the back porch to smoke a cigarette and he's like, where's TJ? Where's mom? Like, he needs to know where all of us are at any given time. Like, we are a unit. And we moved away from North Charleston and Somerville and stuff because it's getting so built up. We like have arms to stretch and,
I mean, hell, Myrtle Beach has moved to Conway, and it's moving into Aner.
yeah, that's why I didn't want to move over there, because, it's getting too built
Aner
up.
used to be like 2 stoplights with nothing, like a
Oh, I
Ned's
know.
Burger.
I live right here on
Now
the
we got
water.
Dollar
main.
General. We
We're
going up
packed
in the
in
world.
here.
Y'all,
But-
if the IEP team says that he needs a certain thing, they have to provide it, period.
And
If they're not, they're going against FAPE.
Yeah, and they don't seem to care, even though when it's presented in their face. I mean, they've literally broken hundreds, uncountable amounts of federal laws.
So are you telling me that it literally says on the prior written notice, Dre needs a smaller setting because X, Y, and Z, but we're not going to provide it because we're assholes? Like,
pretty much. I mean,
they're stupid then too, because
Yes.
they're breaking the law.
And they don't care. It's been brought to, I've begged them not to break the law more. I don't want to deal with lawyers. I don't want to deal with all this. I just want my son to be able to go to school and have a proper education, because he deserves it. He wants it. He loves it.
So at this time, do you have a good lawyer now?
We have no lawyer that will get near us. The one that would be willing to is swamped.
Okay. So, and did you say you've contacted disability rights yet?
That I'm not 100% sure. TJ says he thinks.
Yeah, I did drop that link in chat. I'll drop it again. You should definitely do that.
Yeah, well, there's been just so many things. Like, we spent the entire summer.
And I'm going to drop that link right now. If you click on that link, it'll take you to Education for Children with Disabilities. And it's got a lot. That's that section 504 that I was telling you about.
Right. And, I was back in March, I thought we were to the point where, we're just working out transportation because, everybody agreed. Yeah, beautiful. They didn't know about Beautiful Gate until they didn't know about Melmark until I brought it up. And they were like, yeah, I called and that'd be a perfect place for them. The only problem is the transportation by car. Anything more than an hour would be too much. And then they backtracked on us. And then they're like, oh, well, Beautiful Gate's probably the best school for him to go to, but there's a special needs school over here in North Carolina. Can't we just, pawn him off over here and we'll just drive him the hour and 45 minutes or plus, because, interstates are, full of wrecks and everything else. And
Right, and that's the only reason why I was asking about you guys relocating, because if there's not another option for him, it just seems like there isn't really an answer except for the homeschool until you can figure out, a plan of action. Because either way, it's still a long distance for him to travel. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know the solution to the travel part of it, because
it would be
I
the
just feel
plane.
like
And that's the thing
an hour is a long way to drive to go to work.
right. And the thing is when I brought up the plane situation, I
So
wasn't asking for a brand new plane. I've contacted Lifestyle Aviation in North Carolina, and we after talking to my mom, because she works in quality with Boeing, and finding out the Diamond DA-62 is like the safest plane on the planet. They're so sought after that the 2025 and 2027 models are more than 7 years out. So the fact that it's even available is like a miracle. And he has two now. But yeah, $1.9 million sounds like a lot, but it doesn't have to be outright paid. They could do a $9,000 a month rental for it. And then the maintenance and everything be covered by the airport and things like that. We would be able to work a thing out. But in the end, even if it was used only for Drayson daily until he graduated from school, aged out, they could turn around and sell the plane and get over $1 million back.
Have you shown them like a side-by-side cost analysis of both of the options?
I haven't broke it down and charts and graphs,
Because
but
that might be
a rough outline
the
was
next step.
given to them. And that's why we were at that point, because the special needs director at the IEP meeting was like, okay, well, send me all the information on that and this and that, because I called them. And I mean, the assessment that this man did on this plane, he did an assessment of the whole, it made me cry. It is so detailed. I wish people that work in the school district would care as much as the people outside of the school district
Right.
would care. I mean, it does not take a rocket scientist or somebody with a degree to care about a child and treat them with dignity.
Right.
So I really feel like the final solution will be better services and more special needs schools in South Carolina, because if you look up special needs schools in South Carolina, 99% of them are for deaf and blind or autistic. And my child does not carry an autism diagnosis. So all of those services for autism are not offered to my child.
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely
Just make sure if you
complex
do
situation.
get the home base that you make sure that it's noted that it's a temporary placement because they don't have what he needs available right now.
Yeah, and that's where we're at. And they went quiet on us.
How long has it been?
Beginning of I think September 8th was the FIEP. And at the end of that meeting, Sarah too asked me to give her a week or a week and a half if she could persuade the higher ups to just drive Drayson to and from Beautiful Gate Center instead of Melmark, because we all know that Beautiful Gate Center would be more appropriate and actually benefit him and not overwhelm him.
Mm-hmm.
And a week and a half later, she's like, nope, they said no, this is the only solution we're getting and offering is Melmark, and we drive him.
I'd really love to see that prior written notice.
If it's not already sent to Dutchess, then we can definitely get it over there, because I know my husband's the one that handles all the paperwork and stuff, because this is just...
Because if it says on that prior written notice that is the placement that he needs pending approval from the district or something like that.
Oh, they've never set in stone. No, it's all been audio
Verbal.
recorded and email wise.
Okay.
As far as like in an IEP meeting, no, they are.
Okay.
They say, oh no, we don't agree with that. They don't give a reason why. The only thing that they keep coming up with is Melmark is 60 miles closer, even though it's in another state, even though it's way too big for him to go to and feel safe. Because this is a whole nother transition that he's going to have to go through.
If you are planning on taking this, to the nth degree, gates of hell,
I don't have a choice. I really don't.
You have to make sure that all of this drivel that they say in the IEP meetings is on that prior written notice.
And see, that's the thing is there's been Zoom meetings. So if you look at the prior written notice and then watch the actual IEP meeting and what's said and done, even though we call them out and say, no, this needs to be in there, they'll fight us tooth and nail. They really, even blatantly, like there's video evidence of you breaking the law and you not caring.
Wow. That's all. I'm just, wow.
And I record everything. So, I mean, I back up what I say because I'm going to hold people accountable. I'm held accountable. If I were to do something to my child, don't think I want to be in trouble.
Right.
And these people can hurt my child in every way possible. And we're just going to look the other way and hope to God it never happens again. No, that's not me.
And the thing is, they should be bending over backwards to try to make this right.
Yeah, because all of them technically should be in jail, from superintendent all the way down to aides. Before my son even was there. Mandated reporters that didn't report are not in jail.
Unbelievable.
So it's like there's like all these different injustices happening, and literally the only thing I want, it all started out with me asking for his old aide to be put back with him after he was traumatized and everything kind of settled back down and Drayson was doing good, and they put the other aide with him, and it was just, we tried everything and it was a nightmare. So I'm like, can we please just go back to what was working? And that's when, and I thought, he still works with the district, he's more than willing. They lied to me for 7 months saying, oh, well, he said he didn't want to. I was like, have you spoke to him? No, you haven't, because I talk to him almost on a weekly basis. And he's told me 1,000,000 times that what you're saying is not correct at all. So why don't we do a 3-way call right now with them and have a discussion? No, they didn't want to do that because they were lying.
Oh my God.
Lying. They lied at mediation about it, even to the point where I called him and my lawyer talked to him, because the lawyer was like, why would they lie about that, Rhonda? I'm like, I don't know, but they are. I will text him and tell him to call right now, and he will call and he can explain it to you in his own very words. And he did. And he's looking at me like, what? I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm dealing with. They will lie. They don't care if there's proof that they're lying. They'll continue on lying and look at me and be like, what you going to do about it? You aren't anybody. No one's going to do anything.
Miss Linda in the chat says, "Oh, Dutch, I've been there with this family. My heart goes out. Bless you, parents." Linda is, we went to school together. And and she has a child with special needs. She understands. She said there's a family right now going through this with staff putting hands on her son. My gosh.
There's multiple.
You've got to be kidding me.
Our advocate is dealing with 4 cases.
I'm
and the
so
reason why
sorry,
she is an
Linda.
advocate, she is a free advocate at that. Is
it Family Connection?
No, she's a individual mom. What?
I'm just letting you know. It says battery savers.
I was like, what are you pointing at? She was a mom who dealt with her child being hazed by the football team. He has 9 different, complex disorders, including autism and seizures. And the school district tried to cover it up. And she vowed when she went through a divorce and a heart attack.
Oh my gosh.
Before she could get justice. So, these are the things they will force you and put families through instead of just doing what's right.
That's sick.
Wow.
Thank
you for being here, Linda.
Yes, I thank y'all. I think we've ran your eardrums through the ringer today.
Not at all. Like this is something that we needed to talk about. I appreciate you reaching out and trusting me to give you a safe place to be able to tell your story. And, if you guys want to get some more things together and you want to come back and do a part 2, we can certainly do that, because I think more people need to know the truth of what's happening in our state,
Yeah.
in our school systems, things involving law enforcement. Like, this is a multi-level situation that we have going on here. We have teachers that are taking pictures of kids that are in special needs classes without their clothes on, making fun of them, licking their food, and telling them to eat it. It's not the kids that are bullying Dre.
Yeah, the kids are trying to protect him.
It's just, it makes me sick.
Yeah.
To think that, we're trying to send our kids somewhere to get educated so they can become, adults that have an education. They can go out and provide for their own families and, grow up to be well-rounded adults. And instead, this is what's happening.
I also want to bring up one more thing before we go to, it's not about Drayson, but it's about Darlington County school districts. There was a shooting at an adult center
October 10th,
where unfortunately somebody lost their life, and it could have been prevented. This mother begged for the school district not to force her child to go to school, to give him virtual or anything else because of gang activity and this and that. And they sent truancy officers and harassed him until the point where she had to go to court, and she was forced to send him to school. And lo and behold, there was a shooting.
Oh my gosh.
And that could have totally been prevented if the parent's voice would have actually been heard.
Wow.
And he would, and on top of it, the nice little spit in the face, they sent he was a week from graduating. They sent his GED after he was dead to his mom.
Oh my gosh.
So again, like, this is not a rare occurrence. And
Right.
even knowing that, we're still in the situation. Like, that just...
I think I may have broke some chat rules. I was trying
Wait,
to
you
post,
broke some chat rules? What's that?
I was trying to post emails, I guess, reach out to demand justice for Will Rogers, who's a solicitor.
Oh, I just need to make you a moderator. What's your name under in chat?
What's my name?
Yeah, what are you typing under in chat?
Kill 'em all.
His gamer tag.
I don't even see you in my chat.
It disappeared. That's why I thought I probably broke some
Okay,
rules.
just type something like, just say.
Did you say kill them all?
Kill 'em all.
Yeah, that's probably not gonna show up.
I don't know if I have kills.
It's not written out exactly like that, but that's his gamer.
Just
tag.
just type hey in the chat, and let's see if that stays. And then I can make you a moderator, and then you can drop the links. Because only moderators can drop the links that are in blue. Oh, there you are.
Oh,
now
did
I
it show up?
you.
Oh,
now I see you.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to add you as a moderator, and then you can drop any links to anything, any emails that you want to drop, or if you have a link to a website, or because I feel like people need to be writing in, because I've got my notebook, my trusty notebook and pen right here, and while I'm listening to some lives later, I feel like I'm going to have to.
I don't have to listen to it again.
I'm just going to have to write some notes things that I need to say, like, how can you allow this to happen? How can you allow these teachers and aides to quit so they can go get a job somewhere else and do the same thing to somebody else's kids?
If
It
you've
breaks my
noticed,
heart. And I know Linda hates this because she has a child that is, I mean, and listen, Gabby is she's such a beautiful child. She's amazing. She's
yeah, Grayson's a
amazing.
sweetheart. The Smith
And
Magenta syndrome theme, their quote is "hug or be hugged." Like,
I will, Linda.
he just wants to
Linda
be
is a
loved.
staunch advocate, and I'm telling you, Meronda, if you need somebody to help you in a fight with something, this is your person too, right here, Linda, because she knows.
Anybody, anything that I mean, if I can help
Y'all
anybody,
would
anybody can
have so
help
much
me.
to talk
Like,
about. I promise you.
I put the state superintendent.
right, and I have been reaching out to her since the day that she was elected to the seat. If you've, like I was going to say, if you've noticed, there's a lot of positions that are moving around. Darlington County too, board of the director, chairman of the board of directors, or whatever, the district or whatnot. I mean, everybody except for the superintendent in Darlington County is pretty much switched up. And he's one cocky, untouchable person, it seems like. But this is happening all over our state, and it's like, oh well, we're without teachers and this and that. Well, when you have teachers that care, and you have the students, and you have the parents, and you even have the staff and the principal that care, but their hands are all tied because the superintendent or whoever doesn't care, then no one's going to do anything. And since Ellen Weaver has been elected, I have been reaching out to her. I don't have Facebook or anything like that. I don't do that drama. I try to keep my drama to a minimum. So, I've been reaching out to her in emails and things like that. Like, she started the Palmetto Promise, which is like a group of like lawmakers and parents and teachers and stuff that want to fix the obvious mess ups and way things are in South Carolina. Because when we're financially stable in 18%, but we're always in the 40th percentile in education, there's a big gap there and common sense.
Yeah.
The money's there, the structure's there, everything available is there except for the people that need to care in certain positions. So Ellen Weaver is the president that started Palmetto Promise, and it's like a newsletter and advocates who are trying to, change laws and, start petitions and do all this. And now she's the state superintendent. So I assume I haven't heard anything from her because of litigation and everything, but right now there technically isn't. So I really don't understand why my home state has gone quiet on me. Like, I want to be proud of the education. I want to be proud of South Carolina. 100% of my family lives in the state. 100%. But
I
feel like
totally understand.
I'm non-existent.
The citizens should matter. Your tax-paying citizens, and it seems like the people come last. People in powerful places. Seems like when something happens,
we're paying their salaries.
Yeah,
I know. The corruption is far and wide. It's not just in missing persons cases, and this is a prime example. Abusing our kids, making fun of our kids, taking pictures, what I consider to be child pee.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Technically, it is. And you know what SLED told me about those pictures? Unfounded. What does that tell you?
Because
they did not do anything.
Unfounded?
Yes, they didn't take that woman's phone and go and pull up old records, because you can pull up all that. They just chose not to. So they just listed it unfounded.
Linda and Donna ain't going to like that at all, because I'm going to tell you what, if that happened to Linda's child, oh no. Linda's done been kicked out of Randolph County schools.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised I haven't seen any kind of cells or anything, because
you haven't listened to everything.
You haven't.
You have to be his voice. Just like we are a voice for the voiceless, the people that have gone missing. You know, that's why I have the families to come up and speak on their behalf, because they can't. They're missing. Someone has to tell their story. You know,
Yeah, and
because
Drayson's verbal, but he can't say, "Oh, so and so hurt me" or something like that. And that's where they took advantage of him.
right, and you and TJ have to be his voice. You have to do all the things that he can't, in order to advocate for him to have justice for what's been done to him, and to make sure that he gets the education that he deserves.
And I
You're a
feel
fighter, Meronda, you and TJ, and I have a lot
every
of respect for both of you.
every avenue or alley I decide to pursue for justice, it's like I get jumped. I feel beaten.
Yeah, left at a brick wall. And it shouldn't be like that.
I know.
But I'm the
We're gonna-
infantry. I don't give up.
I can tell. And you know, you
And
got
I'm
to
just
be a
hard
soldier.
headed.
It's like being a soldier in a war. You know, when you're up against a battle like this. But when you love your child, you're willing to do whatever it takes to get the answers, because that's your flesh and blood. I'd do the same for my child.
I'd
And
do it for a
I do
child
it for
I didn't
y'all.
know.
exactly. So that's
I-
why you're here, because we're
Yeah,
going to support you in getting answers. We're going to send emails. You've shared the emails here in the chat. And because I think we're all fighters here. That's what we do. We fight for justice. And this can't happen in my state. And that's why I invited Libby to come up here, because listen, she is very intelligent. And she is not only a good mother, she's a good friend, and she's a great teacher. And she really cares about people, and she knows what this fight is like. And that's why she asked you some of these questions, because she wants to be able to tell you, well, this needs to be like this or this. Look, you should definitely listen to what she's saying, because
Oh, yeah.
she knows. I mean, she's lost her job over fighting for what's right. I trust her. I definitely trust her. And Linda, uh, thank you. I'm so glad to see you and Donna here tonight, because this is a story that will resonate with both of you. You know, if you don't have a child that's in that situation, sometimes it might be difficult to understand if you're not, you know, a special ed teacher, or you don't have a child that has a learning situation where they have these special needs and requirements, you know, at school, or if they're, you know, even if they're ADHD like that, that too is a situation that's what my child dealt with.
Yeah,
And
and the
I
first
remember
thing,
just dealing with that. I can't imagine it having escalated to something that you're going through, Meronda. Like, this is unacceptable. And I'm so very sorry that you've been treated in the way that you have. I don't know. I'm going to have to think on it, because I can't decide if I want to make a petition, if I just want to go
there is a
protest.
petition.
There
There
is a
is a
petition.
petition. Actually,
Can
my
you share it in the
advocate,
chat? Or TJ, can you share that petition in the chat, since you have a moderator thing,
that's
Meronda?
right,
If
South
you want to
Carolina.
type in the chat, I'll give you a wrench and you can share that. And thank you for sharing all of these emails, because if you guys want to write and share your thoughts about this live stream and the information that you've heard, and because I know there's been a lot of people that's really very unhappy about this situation that's happening, Meronda, to you and TJ and Dre. Please write to these people right here. Sarah too. Who exactly is she?
She is the Darling County District Exceptional Ed Director. She's
Okay.
the one who is the mouthpiece for what the special needs kids need, and she goes to the district and recommends or asks for things, and
She's the one who needs a life coach.
Yeah,
You know what?
it's
It's probably the board that holds the purse strings.
No, see, I even went to the board. I went to the chairman of the board, and he told me, after like a month of running around, he basically said, "Oh, well, call Newman. It's up to Newman. Whatever he wants, basically." Even though he's Newman's boss, and now he's no longer there. It's somebody else. It's a woman actually now. So, and I haven't tried to reach out to her because that just
The superintendent.
No, the district chairman of the board of directors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they basically, when I asked them, could you please, explain to them, at that point I was just pleading with them to please put his old aide back with him, because he was the best thing that, he was the only thing that was helping him after the trauma. And, let's go back to what works. He still works with the school district. He's more than willing to. They lied to me for months and said, oh, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to. I'm like, well, that's not what he's saying to me. So let's do a 3-way call. And then, they had to give up on that one. And they said, oh, well, we offer your child a program, not a person. And that's when I was like, well,
your program isn't working.
Right. And that's when I called the meeting, and I asked the superintendent and Sarah too and everything. Well, I want options outside the district. And they promised me at the end of that meeting that I would get other options. And instead, 10 days later, I get an email saying that Drayson was disenrolled from school and he's no longer their problem until I re-enroll him. And
problem.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The icing on the cake for him. But
Wow.
Timothy Newman is the superintendent. A. Whitsitt is Adam Whitsitt. He's the general counsel of SLED, who withheld the audio evidence from the investigation. M. Keel is Mark Keel.
Oh,
the
yeah.
director.
The head of director. Yeah. Of SLED.
Jay Hudson, that's the sheriff of Darlington County. And then Will Rogers is the solicitor.
Excellent.
And Kelly Johnson is the solicitor who closed my son's case and said no one's getting prosecuted. Sweep it under the rug and hush hush.
Linda, I will find out if I can. Oh, Libby dropped. She might have had, I don't know. She didn't say she had to go. She might have lost internet. We love you, Libby, if you're listening and in the chat. It might have been her Wi-Fi.
Feel free to give whoever our number, emails.
I know, Linda and her sister. We all grew up in the same area, and they're good people. And she actually lives across the street from my mom now, so she looks in on my mom every day. And I appreciate you, Linda, so much for checking on my mom. It's okay, Libby. But is that okay if I give her your information? Because listen, yes, I promise she is a good resource. Like, and Donna says my grandson has autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, and he's 4 years old. And I will go to someone's butt. And let me tell you, these two right here, they're serious business. You don't want to mess with these two. I promise you that. Go let Prince out. Go let Prince out, because we don't want Prince Rogers Nelson to have an accident. We are Cody's voice. I'm so glad to see you here. That takes me, just seeing you takes me off on a whole nother thing, because after hearing Corey Bigsby's letter,
I know. Oh my goodness, that broke my heart.
Gosh, that just sends me over the edge. I feel like we need to have a live stream. We are Cody's voice to talk about that, because I would like to hear from you.
I don't know. I guess I see the good in people. I was hanging on to strings hoping that it was an accident.
I was very angry when I saw that. And I do hope that she will be kind enough to come back and have a live stream with me very soon, because I was going to reach out to her tonight to ask her if we could have a live stream, because I have so much that I want to talk about. That would be great. I would love that. I will. I'll send you a message. If you guys are not following her on Facebook, Miss Nancy, she has been a staunch advocate for Cody And we appreciate all that she's done, the motorcycle ride, keeping his name out there. She has a wonderful heart, and I appreciate you being here to support Meronda, who is Meronda actually helps a lot of different creators. Leave It to Beaver, Arctic Fox, me. She'll send us stories about missing people. Hey, have you heard this? Have you heard this? And a lot of times she sends me stuff that I haven't yet seen.
I'm a
And
researcher.
she's a researcher, and she works behind the scenes. And so she's always there, even if you don't see her. And she's always contacting me, letting me know about stuff. And so when she reached out to me to let me know that she had this going on, it really hurt me. Because I care about the people that watch my channel, because a lot of times we're here because we've been through something, our kids have been through something, we've experienced these stressful situations, which is why we gather together, because it's part of our healing is to pay it forward and help other people, because we've been through our own situations, So when we have somebody in our community that needs to have a voice, that needs to say, hey, this is going on and I feel safe sharing it here because people need to know about this. That's my niche in this community. I want people to be able to show support and have people know they can come and tell us these things. And we're not going to make jokes and make light of it and go talk about people behind their back. Like, that's not what this little part of the community is. We're here to lift people up, and we're here to fight for justice, and we're here to stand together. Because, if we don't have the people that stand with us, what do we really have? I mean, it's hard to fight these powerful agencies and things like that when there's corruption like this. We have to stand together. Citizens, we have to unite for something positive. We don't always have to agree about everything. Not everybody agrees with me, guys, all the time. But that's okay. There's things that I don't agree with. Sometimes the way other people see things, but that doesn't mean I think they're a bad person. I mean,
It'd
this
be
isn't an
boring.
echo chamber. Yeah, this isn't an echo chamber. But listen, right is right. And wrong is wrong. And what has happened to Meronda and TJ and Dre is absolutely wrong. There's just no way around it. And we're going to definitely continue to stand up against this. And I just want to thank you, Meronda and TJ, for being so brave to come
Thank you.
forward and just share this. Think about what you guys want to talk about. And when you're ready to come back and share more information or talk to us about, anything that we didn't cover in this live stream, just reach out to me and let me know, and we'll have a part 2.
Yeah, 'cause
Because,
we want to get clips out there of the
okay,
audio evidence
right.
and everything, and I'll have to step away for that because I can't
I
handle it.
understand. I understand. And I understand why, you both feel that it's important that you need to have that done. So you just let me know. And I really appreciate you guys. Show them some support, give them some hearts and prayer hands in the chat, and know that we are united with you. If we're going to email people, if there's a petition that you said we need to sign, share it with us and let us know what it is. If you want to send that to me, and I'll
Yeah,
share it in the chat. Or
I don't know if there's a link for it or not, because I know my advocate put it together. But I can email you a copy of it.
okay, yeah, just do that, and then I can share it on my community wall.
Yeah.
And then we can share it for the next time that we have another stream, if you decide that's what you want to do.
Oh, most certainly. There's so lot.
And I appreciate you being here. It takes great strength and endurance to fight this kind of fight, and you guys are doing it. You just need more people to stand behind you. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help lift your voice. And listen, I'm just going to start tagging news people. And hopefully you guys will share this stream. email this stream to Fitz News. Email this stream to the governor. Email this stream to somebody that you think needs to see the truth about what's happening in South Carolina. If you think that they're an advocate, if they're another true crime channel that gets out the truth, if you think that there's a legislator or someone in the autism community, someone at the disability, if there's someone that you know that you think is going to help lift Meronda and TJ and Dre's voice to be heard so that justice can be served, I want you to share this video link out to them. You can send it via email. You can tag them on Facebook. You can tag them on Twitter and just share that link to them, because this has the crux of the information that they're going to need. And if they want to email me, I'm going to drop my email in the chat. And TJ, if you want to drop your email in the chat, you can reach out to me, or you can reach out to Meronda and TJ directly. Don't go through me. Just reach out to them. And
anything is appreciated. Insight, tips, tricks, know somebody, share it with somebody. I mean, just watching this and hearing it is
absolutely
more than any justice. I feel this is as much justice as he's really gotten for other people that actually have a heart and more.
We stand with you. We stand with you. And Dre, we stand with you. We'll protect you. We'll do whatever it takes. We'll do whatever it takes, because you deserve the best, and you should never have been treated that way. It's not right. I wouldn't allow that to happen to my own child. So I
don't care how people treat me. Don't treat my baby like that. I mean, I don't care who hates me. Do you nitpick me to, every flaw in the world? I don't care. Just care about my son, and getting him where he needs to be. Like, that's all I'm asking for. And I never thought in a million years that even after being put through a traumatizing situation that he should have never been subjected to at all once, much less hundreds of times, to turn your back on him. I just don't understand how people can do that.
You have a lot of people praying for you and standing with you. And I know that the more people that see this video, they're going to stand with you, because our children matter. We have to protect. When I say protect the children, when we're looking for missing kids, I mean protect all children. Even if they're not missing, it doesn't mean that people aren't trying to do things to hurt our children. And we have to stand up and use our voices, because we have to protect them. They can't protect themselves in all situations. And if we don't stand up for them, then who's going to do it?
Exactly.
Meronda, I love you so much, and I appreciate you being here. Guys, please don't forget to like this stream and share this stream out, because Meronda and TJ need. Yes, please continue to pray. And because this story matters. And we're going to continue to fight the good fight, and we're going to continue to try to bring justice to what's been done wrong here for you, Meronda. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you, Meronda, for being here. And
thank you.
Just catch up with me sometime this week, and we'll try to get together, and we'll try to have a part 2 whenever you guys are ready to share more information. And thank you so much, TJ, for being here as well.
Thank you.
We will keep you in our prayers. And if you need anything, just reach out and let me know.
And if there's anything that we can do to help anybody too, I mean, I know we're going through a lot, but we're in this together. Anything that we can do to help anybody.
You are
putting it out
an
there.
incredible blessing. You listen, they're out here trying to bless other people, but they really need the blessing. So guys, please be kind. And this week, go out there and do something kind on behalf of Dre, because we want to
Give a stranger a hug. Give a stranger a hug.
Give a stranger a hug.
That would be very, very nice to do for Dre.
Dre would
that's
like that
totally
very
him.
much. And we're
He
here
wants
for
to give
you, Dre.
everybody a hug and put a
We're
smile
here
on.
because your mom and dad care about you and they love you, and they want to do what's right, and we're going to stand with them. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to let you guys go have dinner. I'm going to go have dinner with my husband. Thank you this was an exclusive because I don't normally cover things like this. And I just want to thank you for sharing your story with me, Meronda. And I appreciate you being a member and subscriber to my channel and a wonderful friend. And I appreciate you supporting my fight for the missing. And we're going to continue to help you fight this corruption that's happening here in South Carolina. So take care, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful night. And I'll see you on the next live stream. Take care, guys.
Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.